the most epic Zodiac Knights system. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126 Memories. In less than 2 hours, Yanqing returned to the Ice Palace. The two warriors guarding the door were stunned when they saw Yanqing, and then they immediately showed excitement on their faces and ran to the small town and shouted, "Master Yan, you are back! Master Yan, you are back!" After solving the blood sect, groups of Ice Palace warriors gathered from all over the small town. They knelt on one knee and welcomed Yanqing's return with the highest etiquette. "Master Yan, you are really strong. It has only been a short time since you solved the blood sect. Our Ice Palace can finally be proud of ourselves. All the depression we have experienced in the past few years is gone today. Let's have a carnival tonight. This is a day worth celebrating." Yanqing was surrounded by warriors and returned to the center of the town to meet Leng Yi. Solved. Leng Yi also came out of the hall, stood at the door, folded his hands, and said lightly, "Completely solved." Speaking of which, the last blood fairy was really difficult to solve. It took a lot of effort. Considering that I work so hard for your Ice Palace, shouldn't you give me some compensation? Yanqing said with a smile. "This is for you." Leng Yi threw out a blue crystal. Snap. Yanqing grabbed it accurately, spread out his palm, looked carefully at the slightly cool blue crystal, and asked in confusion, "What is this?" "A data storage medium made by a saint. You can understand the information in it by reading it with mental power. It records the techniques of using cold air. I saw you use cold air tricks before. This may be useful to you," Leng Yi said quietly. "Oh, thank you very much." Yanqing was a little stunned. He was just teasing and didn't want to get anything. Leng Yi's behavior surprised him. "Qin Xiang, Xiao Bei and the others will be here soon. You'd better tidy up your clothes, otherwise they will be worried about you again." Leng Yi said this slowly and turned to leave. Leng Yi is a guy who looks cold but is careful. Yanqing tossed the blue crystal in his hand and muttered softly, "Yanqing, brother Yan." Two voices came from the other end of the street, accompanied by hurried footsteps. "Oh no, I haven't tidied my clothes yet." Yanqing was in a hurry, and with sonic speed, he quickly tidied up the dusty and blood-stained clothes to make them look neater. "Hey, Xiao Bei, Qin Xiang." Yanqing smiled and greeted the two people who ran over. "Yanqing, why are you so stubborn again?" Qin Xiang frowned her beautiful eyebrows, and just like last time, she walked up to Yanqing and checked his body for any injuries. "It's okay, don't worry." Yanqing smiled and said easily. Although he was hit hard by the halberd, the injury was very light. "Brother Yan, I have good news to tell you." When Xiao Bei jumped and came to Yanqing. "What's the good news?" Yanqing lowered his head and stroked Wen Xiao Bei's head. "I have now broken through to the second level of innateness." When Xiao Bei was obviously enjoying Yanqing stroking his head, he used his inner strength to show his cultivation. "Xiao Bei, you are really amazing." Yanqing was really surprised. This cultivation speed was too fast. As far as he knew, even those with S-level talents could not cultivate so fast. He really found a good seedling. Yanqing sighed. "It's okay this time." Qin Xiang's expression relaxed. "Haha, yes." Yanqing laughed dryly, and a drop of sweat flowed down his forehead. He was glad that Qin Xiang didn't notice, otherwise Qin Xiang would be very worried about him again. The three of them strolled in the town. Previously, the Ice Palace warriors had robbed the four sects and took back all the valuables. They not only got a lot of money and property, but also various weapons and machinery. The whole town began to show a prosperous scene. At night, after a banquet and carnival, Yanqing returned to his residence here, a clean and tidy two-story villa. This was built a long time ago by the person in charge of the Ice Palace who came to Langjiao Star. In the past, it was abandoned with the large-scale withdrawal of the Ice Palace forces here. Now it has been cleared out and used as Yanqing's residence. Of course, this villa is not small. Not only Yanqing, Wen Xiao Bei, and Qin Xiang all live in it. Click. Yanqing opened the door and returned to his room. He lay on the bed with his tired body, feeling very relaxed. He looked at the sky outside the window and saw a bright starlight. Langzhou star has no satellites, so there is no bright and clear disk in the night sky here. There is more than a month left before we return to Earth. Yanqing murmured to himself, with inexplicable sadness in his eyes. For him, Earth is his hometown, that he has not returned to for a long time, and it has all his memories of the past. Whether in his previous life, or in this life, he has spent an unforgettable period of time on Earth. Yanqing lay on the bed, his thoughts a little messy. Are Uncle Yang and the others okay? Has the Yang family become more prosperous? How is Teo and Star? They should all be fine. With the care of the master and the others, and Yang's planning, the Yang family will definitely reach a new height. Uncle Yang will probably be very happy too. Yanqing also remembered the maple flower that became extremely bright after being nourished by the sun's rays when they parted. Fengling, are you okay? Yanqing's voice was a little trembling. The beauty's graceful look and sweet smile were extremely clear in his memory. It was as if it happened yesterday, and he could touch it with just a stretch of his hand. I will find you when I return from Earth. Yanqing clenched his fists and made a silent decision. Who is Fengling? A voice suddenly sounded, which shocked Yanqing. Who? Yanqing looked over and saw a woman who was as gentle as water and so beautiful that it could not be described in words standing next to him. It was Wen Qingxiang. It turned out to be you. Yanqing breathed a sigh of relief. What do you mean it turned out to be you? Qingxiang gathered her dress and sat down, her tone a little dissatisfied. I just didn't expect it to be you. I thought it was someone else who came in. So, I was worried. Yanqing was incoherent. Qingxiang was so close to him, and the faint fragrance and fragrant breath made him very nervous. Qingxiang chuckled and said, why are you so nervous? Did I discover some secret of yours that you cannot let others see? No, I just felt that you were too close to me, and I was very nervous. Yanqing laughed dryly. Very close. Qingxiang looked at the distance of less than half a meter between her and Yanqing, and two blushes appeared on her face. Chapter 127 I also want to be your strength. Yes. Yanqing wanted to get up and move away from Qingxiang. This was too close. Snap. Qingxiang suddenly reached out and held Yanqing, which made Yanqing startled. Qingxiang's face flushed, bit her lip and said, it's okay, it's good like this. Yes, is it? Yanqing looked at Qingxiang, who was wearing a pure white dress, and bowed her head shyly, and was a little stunned. He remembered a poem in the old AD era. The most gentle thing is that bowed head, just like a water lotus, that can't withstand the cool breeze. This poem is really appropriate at this time. Yanqing, who is the wind chime you are talking about? Qingxiang supported her chin with one hand, revealing her elegant and charming curves, and asked with blinking eyes. She seemed to care about this question very much. Do you want to know? Yeah. Qingxiang nodded heavily, with a serious expression. Yanqing took a deep breath, and the smiles and frowns of the beautiful woman in his mind emerged. She is the person I like. Yanqing spoke, and his voice echoed throughout the room. There was a silent silence. Yanqing stared at Qingxiang. He understood that Qingxiang must have a crush on him, but he was not promiscuous. Fengling was the person he liked. Although they had not been together for a long time, they fought together, lived together, supported each other and fought for the family. That feeling was really wonderful. And the strong emotion contained in that kiss was the best thing he had ever gotten in the galaxy era. Nothing could replace it. So, you already have someone you like. Qingxiang turned her head and whispered. A drop of crystal sparkled and fell. When she heard Yanqing say that, she realized that the person Yanqing was talking about was very important to him. But she didn't expect that person to be the one Yanqing liked. I should have thought of it earlier. Yanqing was so outstanding that he must have someone he liked. Qingxiang felt very uncomfortable. Yes. Yanqing closed his eyes and whispered. This way Qingxiang would probably give up. Although it was cruel to say it, it was an effective way. Plop. The bed shook and the soft bed sank. Yanqing suddenly opened his eyes widened, his whole body tensed. Qingxiang was lying next to him. Qingxiang you, Yanqing said in a hoarse voice. Call me Xianja. Qingxiang's voice came from the side, interrupting his words. Xianja. Yanqing spoke with difficulty. He knew that if he rejected Qin Xiang again, she would be very sad. That's good, I'll be satisfied. Qin Xiang moved and got closer to Yanqing. Yanqing could even feel Qin Xiang's breathing. I always think you are a great person. Qin Xiang's breath was as sweet as orchid. Why do you think so? Yanqing's heart was beating uncontrollably. Qin Xiang's actions made him very nervous. Because you are like a hero, saving the entire city of light. Yanqing shook his head and said, no, I'm just an ordinary person. I can't be a great person like a hero. I just want to live well in this era and spend the years quietly with my relatives and friends. Besides, the City of Light is not only protected by me, but also by Commander Hellion, a group of soldiers and warriors who love the City of Light. You are right, that's why I like you like this. Qin Xiang laughed. Really? Yanqing felt as if ants were crawling all over his body, and he was very uncomfortable. Yes, that's why on the side that Yanqing couldn't see, Qin Xiang's face was a little lonely, and his voice became low and gradually inaudible. It's almost time. Yanqing wanted to get up and get rid of this awkward atmosphere and conversation. Bang! He was held down by Qin Xiang again. Without waiting for Yanqing to speak, Qin Xiang said to Yanqing very seriously, I want to stay by your side and be your strength. Xianja, haven't you always stayed by my side? There's no need to talk about strength or anything like that. Yanqing said strangely. I don't want this kind of company. I don't want to be a burden to you. Qin Xiang grabbed Yanqing's hands. Her whole body glowed, illuminating the whole room, her purple hair flying. You are. Yanqing was shocked. He could feel a gentle force extending from his hands to every part of his body, and his whole body seemed to be transparent. This power is a microcosm. Qin Xiang smiled happily in the bright light. When you guide my microcosm for me, not only can you feel my microcosm, I can also feel your microcosm. Your microcosm is very gentle, like a stream flowing, without a ripple, pure and beautiful, so at that time, I had a good impression of you. There is a mysterious thing in your body that longs for my microcosm. This should be the source of your power. I think if I give you my microcosm, it may be of great help, and then I will become your power. The light on Qin Xiang's body became brighter and turned into gold, making her look extremely holy. Xianja, let go. Qin Xiang held Yanqing's hand stubbornly, and Yanqing wanted to break free, but he couldn't bear to hurt Qin Xiang. Yanqing really felt her kindness and the passionate emotions. Boom. A huge universe far beyond Yanqing's imagination rushed into his sea of consciousness and touched the sleeping system hall. But the system has absorbed enough energy and started to recover. The grey system hall began to glow. I don't know what material the hall was made of, but it was shining like gold. The door slowly opened, and the cosmic stars in the hall also lit up. Ding. Recovery is successful, and function recovery is in progress. Function recovery is complete, and the system is undergoing overall adjustment. That's enough, Xianja. Yanqing looked at the tired Qin Xiang and said distressedly. It's okay, it's nothing. I have a lot of micro-universes. What's more, this is what I'm willing to do. If you stop me, I will hate you. Qin Xiang smiled. Her will was firm. No matter what Yanqing said, she would not let go. Okay, but you have to leave yourself enough power to restore all your micro-universes. Yanqing sighed and acquiesced to Qin Xiang's approach. The system has obtained enough energy, and the upgrade has begun. Hearing this, Yanqing was stunned. System upgrade? What's going on? Qin Xiang's power can actually make the system change and upgrade. Emotional drama 12 is not good at. This chapter took a long time to write. There will be a second chapter around midnight. Chapter 128 3 Major Functions. The Golden Hall emitted infinite light, illuminating the entire sea of consciousness. In the rich and incomparable light, the extremely solid system hall began to melt, and the grand hall turned into a golden sphere with countless stars running inside. Can this system be upgraded? Yanqing murmured. He had never had a deep understanding of the Saint CI system. This system was different from what he saw in online novels. It did not issue tasks or give him prompts. Only when carrying out the inheritance of constellations would it spare no effort. What's wrong? Qin Xiang let go of Yanqing's hand and asked tiredly. The system in my body, that is, the mysterious thing you said, has undergone some magical changes under the infusion of power, Yanqing said slowly. Really? This is great. I can finally become your power. Qin Ziyang smiled happily. She fulfilled her wish, and her body softened, and was about to fall. Hey, Xianja! Yanqing shouted anxiously. He just reached out to support Qin Ziyang, and the golden sphere in the sea of consciousness suddenly exploded with a bang, as if the world was created, repeating the wind, water, and fire of the earth. The sea of consciousness was suddenly in chaos. Yanqing's eyes went dark, and he fell to the bed with Qin Ziyang in his arms. In Yanqing's sea of consciousness, incredible changes were taking place. The edge of the sea of consciousness collapsed and continued to shatter. The space expanded rapidly, and in a blink of an eye it reached twice the previous area. The system is separated, the holy domain is constructed, and 88 constellations are born. The two invisible and immaterial gases, clear and turbid, were born at the moment of the Big Bang. The clear gas rose to the sky, and turned into a starry sky. The turbid gas fell to the ground, and turned into the earth. Mountains and rivers rose on the earth, and there was a continuous group of palaces on the highest mountain. However, only 3 palaces were fully materialized, and the other palaces had no shape yet. Ding. Stars became brighter, dotted in the sky, forming different constellations. There are a total of 88, namely the northern sky, the southern sky, and the 12 constellations on the ecliptic. So bright after an unknown amount of time, Yanqing's consciousness woke up. The dazzling light made his consciousness fall into a white mist. After a while, Yanqing finally adapted to the light and his mental power slowly stretched out. How did my sea of consciousness become like this? Yanqing was shocked as he looked at the sea of consciousness that had turned into a world, and murmured. He raised his head and saw the 88 distinct constellations, flashing different lights. He also saw a large group of palaces on the ground. In those palaces, Yanqing also saw the familiar golden 12 palaces. The 3 constellations of Pegasus, Phoenix, and White Bird were particularly bright in the sky. Yanqing could feel that he had a special connection with these 3 constellations, which should be because he inherited the heritage of the constellations. System, what's going on? Yanqing's mental power vibrated and asked. As the host can see, the system has been upgraded now. The system's voice lost its previous cold and old-fashioned voice and turned into a soft female voice. What changes have the upgraded system undergone? Yanqing asked. After the system was upgraded, 1 main function and 2 secondary functions were opened. The system replied. Open function? What function? Yanqing was excited. This system finally got it and showed him its true power. The main function is to collect and forge holy garments, and the secondary functions are to change talents and create special items. Yanqing was shocked. This was indeed a big change. You know, before, the system was silent and would not show him any functions. System, explain these 3 functions in detail. Talent changes the function that changed the host's talent in the past. Now the host can also use this function to transform the talents of others, so that they can smoothly embark on the road of trial and build a powerful force. Special item creation is to make various items with special effects, such as Ares teleportation spell, ice crystal, disposable holy sword, Pisces poisonous rose, etc. Sacred garment collection and casting, as the name suggests, is to cast holy garments, create 88 holy garments, and build a real holy domain. The voice of the system slowly explained the meaning of the 3 major functions, which made Yanqing fall into deep thought. What is the system going to do? It feels like it wants him to build a holy domain. System, can you explain why these 3 functions are open? Yanqing asked in a deep voice. Sorry, this involves the confidentiality of the system. Please forgive me that I can't answer. The voice of the system was slightly apologetic and more humane. Yanqing couldn't figure out the system's intention, but no matter what, the system would not murder him, otherwise he would have been finished long ago. He thought for a while and said, let me see these 3 functions. Host, you only need to enter the Holy Land to understand. The function of collecting and casting holy clothes is in the Ares Palace. The function of making special items is in the palace to the west of the 12 palaces, and the function of changing talents is in the palace to the east of the 12 palaces. Holy Land? Yanqing muttered silently, and his doubts became heavier, but the system would not give him an answer. He could only bury his doubts deep in his heart, and wait for the moment when the truth would be revealed in the future. The space of the Sea of Consciousness is very large. Yanqing's consciousness here directly turned into a physical entity. He walked a long distance before arriving at the Holy Land. The Holy Land is very sacred. Although the other palaces have not yet solidified and materialized, the majestic and heavy feeling has always lingered in Yanqing's heart. After stepping into the Western Palace, Yanqing took a glance and saw a huge groove and a human-shaped seat. There were countless veins connecting the groove and the seat. The veins were complicated and profound, and Yanqing felt a little dizzy. The host can use the system to bring the soul of the person who wants to change his talent here. The groove can be installed with the energy stone of this era, or the host can input energy to replace it. To create an A-level talent, or the UN energy of the first level of the transformation realm is required. The energy to create an S-level talent is equivalent to the UN gang, controlled by the first level of the transformation realm. So host, you can only create A-level talents at present. If you want to create S-level talents, you have to wait until you enter the transformation realm in the future. Yanqing nodded, indicating that he understood what the system meant. He remembered that Uncle Yang and Yang Zhe were both A-level talents. After he reached the transformation realm and became an immortal, he could upgrade Uncle Yang and others to S-level talents, increase the speed of cultivation, and reduce the difficulty of breakthrough. This function alone is of immeasurable value. Yanqing couldn't help but sigh that after the system upgrade, the usability has indeed improved a lot. I wonder what the Western Palace will look like. Yanqing is looking forward to the next function of the system, and what kind of surprises it will bring him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129, Ares Palace. The Sea of Consciousness seemed like a real world. Yanqing could even feel the flow of air. The sky was full of stars. The Holy Land under the starry sky seemed particularly sacred. The atmosphere of vicissitudes and longevity was pervasive. These ancient palaces seemed to have been standing since the mythological era, spanning a long time of time. Yanqing walked into the palace on the west side of the Holy Land. On the palace, a huge disc first caught his eye. The disc was engraved with Greek letters representing the 12 Zodiac signs, projecting a mysterious and soft golden light to the floor below. In this golden light, transparent objects of various shapes floated in the air. Yanqing distinguished the teleportation spell of Ares and the crystal of ice among these objects. In addition to these two items, there were many things that Yanqing did not recognize, such as a sharp holy sword that seemed to be able to cut through the world, a bright red and attractive rose, a pair of simple and heavy wrist guards, etc. Host, here you can use the functions made of special items to create all kinds of magical items. The voice of the system sounded in Yanqing's ears. System, explain to me in detail how to use this function. I don't understand. Yanqing frowned. Okay, host. The disc above this palace gathers the power of the 12 palaces and can project the light of each palace. In this light, there are many special items. When the host wants to make special items, such as making a teleportation spell, you must choose the light of Ares and find the method of making the teleportation spell. Making these items also requires energy stones or the host's own energy. Since these items often have incredible power, they consume a lot of energy. With the host's current energy, only 3 of them can be made. So that's it. Yanqing pondered for a while, looked up and said, what 3 things can I make now? Royal Magic Palace Rose, Ice Crystal, Disposable Taurus Wristband. What are the uses of these 3 items? Yanqing's eyebrows jumped. Just from the names of these items, he felt that they were definitely extraordinary, because they were related to the 12 palaces. The Royal Demon Palace Rose is the unique skill of the Pisces Gold Saint. The fragrance and pollen of the rose are highly toxic, and can kill the enemy invisibly. If the demon palace rose is placed in a specific area, it can derive many roses and cover the entire area. However, as the area expands, the fragrance will fade, and the power will be greatly weakened. The ice crystal is an item made from the freezing air of the Aquarius Gold Saint. The more energy consumed in making it, the stronger its power. The ice crystal condensed by the power of the saint has a temperature of absolute zero. Even the movement of atoms can be stopped and everything can be frozen. The disposable Taurus wristband is made with the power of the Taurus Palace. The Taurus symbolizes strength. This pair of wristbands can increase its own strength tenfold. Combined with the host's Linword mantra, one force can defeat 10 skills. The system slowly explained. Yanqing was shocked. These 3 items were too magical. Although they were all consumables, they could play an immeasurable role in times of crisis. Especially the ice crystal. Yanqing experienced it the most. When he was devoured by Xuancheng's divine form of the celestial beast, this ice crystal played a key role and changed the balance of victory and defeat. Yanqing also successfully hit Xuancheng with the Phoenix Magic Fist and ended the battle. Yanqing walked forward, and his footsteps were extremely clear in the palace. He was bathed in light and held a pair of wristbands that were floating. A message emerged. Taurus wristband, the standard of power consumed in making this item, all the energy of the 3rd level of the transformation realm. He touched a sharp holy sword again, and another message rushed to him. Disposable holy sword, the standard of power consumed in making this item, all the energy of the 1st level of the immortal realm. The special item making function is more amazing than the talent changing function. After appreciating the 2nd function, Yanqing felt that the system had become much cuter after the upgrade. Next, I have to go to the Ares Palace to see the last main function, the collection and casting of the holy clothes. I'm really looking forward to it. Yanqing stepped out of the palace and walked towards the 12 palaces. Ares Palace, in the Saint Seiya animation that Yanqing had seen, was the first of the 12 palaces. The Ares Gold Saint who lived in it was the only saint who could repair the saint cloth. The Ares Gold Saint had a strong spatial ability and could teleport. Stardust rotation, starlight extinction, crystal wall. These moves had extremely excellent attack and defense power, and were extremely powerful. Soon, Yanqing arrived at the Ares Palace. Yanqing looked at this grand and majestic palace with a look of shock in his eyes. The Ares Palace was 10 times larger than the other 2 palaces. Behind the Ares Palace, Yanqing vaguely saw the other 11 palaces located on the mountain, in a transparent state, without substance. If the system is upgraded again, the other 11 palaces will also be displayed one by one. Yanqing stepped up the stairs step by step, and entered the Ares Palace. The Ares Palace was very empty, with only a white stone platform, on which there were 2 golden hammers and chisels, and the marks of 88 constellations were printed on the 4 walls. Ares. Yanqing muttered silently. For some reason, he felt a sense of familiarity from the bottom of his heart, as if this palace was echoing him, as if he belonged here. Host, this is the place where the holy clothes are collected and cast. The system introduced how to use the holy clothes casting function. Yanqing asked as usual. Host, the main function of the holy clothes casting function must be fully opened when you inherit the Ares inheritance. Isn't it too early? Yanqing was very disappointed. Only when you reach the 7th sense can you accept the inheritance of Ares. This function is equivalent to not having it. However, the voice of the system changed and said again, after the system was upgraded, new changes have occurred. So although it cannot be fully opened, it can also be opened partially. Which part has been opened? Yanqing asked. As long as the constellation has accepted the inheritance, it can be cast, but the holy clothes of the corresponding constellation are unique, and only one can be cast. In other words, I can forge the holy clothes of the white bird and phoenix. Yanqing's eyes flashed. Yes, host. However, making a holy garment will be very troublesome and consume a lot of energy. With the host's own energy, it will take at least 1 month to make a holy garment. It is indeed long enough. It seems that it will not be cast before the end of the trial. Yanqing sighed. Not necessarily. If the host asks for help from the girl with a huge microcosm, it should be possible to cast it in a short time. The system gave Yanqing a suggestion. Forget it. Although Yanqing was tempted, he still shook his head. He didn't want to trouble Qin Ziyang again. This time, he owed a favor to a big boss for the system upgrade, which would be difficult to repay. There will be a second update after midnight. Chapter 130 Qualification Invitation. Yanqing stayed in the Holy Land constructed by the system for a while. After fully understanding the functions of the system, his consciousness withdrew from the sea of consciousness and returned to his body. I'm back. Yanqing slowly opened his eyes, and a ray of light fell into his pupils, making him squint. With such strong sunlight, it should be noon. I didn't expect to spend so much time in the sea of consciousness, Yanqing said to himself. He wanted to get up, but for some reason his body became very heavy, as if something was pressing on him. Hey, my hand. Yanqing felt that his hand seemed to be placed on a slippery and soft place. He grabbed it hard, and it was very elastic. There was an alluring female voice. Yanqing's heart skipped a beat. He immediately had a bad premonition. He looked down, and was immediately shocked. Qin Ziyang was actually curled up in his arms, with her head on his shoulder. If it was just like this, Yanqing would not be too worried, but one of his hands was actually placed on Qin Ziyang's chest at this time. What he just caught was, what did I do? Yanqing's body became stiff. He remembered last night when he supported Qin Ziyang, who had collapsed from exhaustion. Just when he was about to send her back to her room, he himself fainted due to the system upgrade and fell down with Qin Ziyang. Yanqing figured out the cause and effect, looked at the sleeping Qin Ziyang, and breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Qin Ziyang did not wake up, and their clothes were intact. Otherwise they really couldn't wash them off, even if they jumped into the Yellow River. Yanqing carefully tried to pull his hand out from Qin Ziyang's chest, but Qin Ziyang was holding her too tightly, and he really had no way to pull his hand out without waking her up. He could only use his ultimate move, otherwise it would be bad. When Qin Ziyang woke up, Yanqing gritted his teeth, made up his mind, quietly stretched out his other hand to Qin Ziyang's armpit, and gently scratched it. Tickling is the most powerful trick in this situation. Yanqing didn't believe that Qin Ziyang's arm would not move. As long as her arm moved slightly, Yanqing could pull back his hand at lightning speed and get out of the predicament. What? However, Yanqing thought too easily. Qin Ziyang's arm did tremble a few times, but she still did not let go of Yanqing's hand. Instead, she held it tighter, which gave him a headache. There was a clattering sound on the stairs in the small villa, and the sound was getting closer and closer. It was obviously going to Yanqing's room, but at this time Yanqing's mind was all focused on Qin Ziyang, and he didn't notice anyone coming. Well, I can only force it. Yanqing took a deep breath, turned sideways, and tried to force Qin Ziyang's hand open. At the moment Yanqing made a move, the door suddenly opened with a bang. Hey, Yanqing, you. Leng Yi's voice came and echoed in the room. The sound of the door opening was really loud, and Yanqing's hand couldn't help shaking hard, pinching Qin Ziyang, which immediately woke her up. It's over. Yanqing's Adam's apple trembled, and he glared at Leng Yi at the door. Leng Yi glanced at Yanqing coldly, and that look seemed full of contempt. He said nothing, closed the door neatly, and turned to leave. You guy, you still despise me. If it weren't for you, I would have successfully escaped. Yanqing roared in his heart. Yanqing. Qin Ziyang opened her sleepy eyes and saw Yanqing, who wanted to cry, but had no tears. She felt something strange in her chest. She looked down and immediately let out a cry, let go of Yanqing's hand, and covered her chest with both hands tightly. I'm really sorry, I'm really sorry. Yanqing was incoherent. He didn't know what to say, and he didn't know where to put his hands. Qin Ziyang's face was flushed. She lowered her head. Her voice was very low, but very clear, with a hint of joy. It's okay, it's just too fast. I can't adapt to it now. We can take it slowly. Yanqing spat out a mouthful of old blood. Qin Ziyang really misunderstood. This was an accident. After dozens of minutes, Yanqing wasted a lot of words and explained it from beginning to end, and finally made Qin Ziyang understand that he really didn't do it on purpose. However, looking at Qin Ziyang's expression, it was obvious that he didn't believe what he said. Yanqing really felt a headache. He was the worst at dealing with such things. As soon as he went downstairs, He saw Leng Yi sitting on a soft chair in the living room with a cup of coffee leisurely, and his anger rose in his heart. "You guy, why didn't you knock on the door and go in directly?" Yanqing walked over angrily and sat opposite him. "How do I know Qin Xiang will be in your room and still doing that kind of thing?" Leng Yi said slowly. "Hey, what's the matter? Tell me clearly, what did I do? Our clothes are intact." Yanqing almost wanted to yell. "Oh, really?" Leng Yi said calmly, taking out a golden invitation from his pocket and handing it to Yanqing. "I already understand this matter, you don't need to explain anymore. Actually, I have something more important to inform you, because I couldn't wait for you to come out for a long time, so I had to go into your room to find you." "What is this?" Yanqing took the invitation in confusion, opened it, and saw the two big words qualification on it, and a line of words qualification conference, location Tailing Mountain, time November 30th. Signed by the names of several famous forces on Lang Geostar. This is the qualification certificate for entering the Saint's ruins. This qualification certificate originally belonged to the Blood Immortal, but you killed the Blood Immortal, so the qualification naturally came into our hands. This meeting is a mobilization meeting. All those who have obtained the qualifications must go to Tailing Mountain, the most powerful force on Lang Geostar, to enter the Saint's ruins together. Originally, Tailing Mountain didn't want to give it to our Ice Palace. They suspected that the recent big move was for the Ice Palace to regain control of Lang Geostar. For this reason, I wrote a public letter to them as the young palace master of the Ice Palace, saying that I was only here to participate in the Saint's ruins and to punish the forces that had invaded the Ice Palace and would not control Lang Geostar. This dispelled their concerns and gave us this qualification invitation. Leng Yi revealed the news, took a sip of coffee elegantly, and said, "I have made great efforts for you, and I had to enter your room. So now you still blame me?" Yanqing said angrily. Okay, you're not wrong. It's all my fault. That's it. Glad to know." Leng Yi's eyes flashed with a smile, which disappeared in an instant. He added, "According to the date written here, tomorrow is the day to go to Tailing Mountain. Let's prepare well." Chapter 131 Tailing Mountain Conference. A starship passed through the sky, leaving a long white line. In the cockpit, Yanqing flipped through the information to learn about the major forces. Tailing Mountain is the most powerful force on Lang Geostar. The leader Wu Liang has reached the perfection of the immortal realm. He is only one step away from becoming a saint and becoming the fourth saint of the Swan Star region. Wu Liang likes ancient style to the point of being morbid and refuses any high-tech items. Therefore, the buildings on Tailing Mountain are like ancient buildings, with carved beams and painted rafters, magnificent and majestic. This Wu Liang is really a character. Yanqing lay on the seat, resting his hands on his head, and smiled at Leng Yi. Interested in ancient times? This made Yanqing, who traveled from the old AD era, have a strong interest in Wu Liang. Yanqing, you think too simply. He likes ancient style very much, but there is a meaning. Take a look at the third line of the 57th page of the information. Yanqing puzzledly followed Leng Yi's words and turned to the corresponding place. A record mark with a red stripe entered Yanqing's eyes. Wu Liang usually likes to pretend to be an ancient emperor, appointing the high-ranking officials of Tailing Mountain as ministers and treating the people in the territory as his subjects. He wants to be an emperor. Yanqing was stunned. Yes, Wu Liang is very ambitious. In the past, he fought with my master in the Andromeda Star region and killed hundreds of thousands of Zerg. He has his own ideas and is unwilling to be inferior to others. He wants to establish his own power outside the Ice Palace and become an emperor. Therefore, he came to Lang Geostar. Leng Yi said to Yanqing while operating the starship. "If he becomes a saint, will it pose a great threat to your Ice Palace?" Yanqing asked. "That won't happen. The power of the Ice Palace is deeply rooted and cannot be shaken by a saint. Even if he becomes a saint, he can only toss around in Lang Geostar and become a local emperor." Leng Yi answered casually. Beep beep. Leng Yi glanced at the map, and the red dot representing the starship has overlapped with the coordinates of Tailing Mountain. "Yanqing, we are here," Leng Yi said lightly. "This is Tailing Mountain. It's a place with extremely high energy concentration. It's good to practice here. Yanqing looked at the mountains below, which were surrounded by clouds and mist. Boom. With a huge roar, the starship slowly landed, raising countless dust. Before Yanqing and Leng Yi came down from the elevator, the telling mountain disciples lined up on both sides of the starship to welcome Yanqing and Leng Yi. "Welcome your highness Leng Yi." Another group of maids lined up and bowed to Leng Yi. At the same time, salutes were fired and music rang out. 81 shots. Wu Liang still attaches great importance to me, Leng Yi said lightly, walking side by side with Yanqing and climbing the stairs. In the Swan Star region, salutes are an important etiquette for welcoming guests. Depending on the importance of the guests, there will be different numbers of shots. The most common is 9 shots, and there are 36 shots, 49 shots, 72 shots, and the highest level of 81 shots. Led by a telling mountain disciple, the two arrived at the top of the mountain in a short time. There are clusters of ancient buildings on the top of the mountain, with high eaves and winding corridors. They are ancient and charming. Yanqing couldn't help but feel a sense of intimacy. "Haha, nephew, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Why are you here so late?" A hearty laugh came from a distance, attracting Yanqing's attention. Leng Yi looked calm and whispered to Yanqing, "Follow me." Yanqing was stunned, then understood what Leng Yi meant, and nodded to show that he understood. Leng Yi took a step forward, bowed and said, "Leng Yi has to deal with some things in the Ice Palace, so he has to come late. Please don't blame Uncle Wu." Yanqing also bowed, but he saw Wu Liang from the corner of his eye. This was a burly and strong man, about 2 meters tall, with bulging muscles all over his body, containing explosive power. Yanqing could feel that Wu Liang's breath was as deep as the sea. "No need to be polite, no need to be polite. I'm very happy that my nephew can come. There is nothing to blame. How is your master?" Wu Liang walked in front of Leng Yi and asked. "My master is doing well, and asked me to say hello to you, my uncle." Leng Yi stood up and said, That's good, that's good. Speaking of which, I haven't seen Lan for many years." Wu Liang's tone was full of sighs, and there was a look of nostalgia in his eyes, as if there was true feelings flowing. He acted too realistically. If Yanqing didn't know his true nature, he would probably be deceived by Wu Liang. "My nephew, who is this person who came with you?" Wu Liang noticed Yanqing next to Leng Yi and asked, "Uncle Wu, this is my uncle's disciple, named Yanqing." Leng Yi pointed to Yanqing with his eyes. Yanqing understood and bowed respectfully to Wu Liang, saying, "Meet Uncle Wu. Well, you are indeed a handsome man with a noble bearing, much better than I was back then." Wu Liang smiled kindly, as if he were an elder. There was an imperceptible red flash in his eyes, reflecting the figure of Yanqing. What Yanqing did, especially the fact that he crossed the mortal realm to attack the immortals and killed the blood immortal who had 9 lives, attracted Wu Liang's attention. During this meeting, Wu Liang also felt that Yanqing was unusual. "My 2 nephews, go to the main hall and take a seat first. There is a banquet going on there, and it is very lively. I will not accompany you two. I'm here, and I have to greet several leaders." "Yes, uncle." Yanqing and Leng Yi bowed and left. The two did not say a word until they walked a long way away, and Leng Yi spoke, "How is it?" "Well, it is indeed terrifyingly strong. Every move is integrated with the heaven and earth, and there is no weakness to follow." Yanqing expressed his feelings. This is a quasi-saint. Although he is not a saint, he also has 1% of the power of a saint, which is enough to sink a continent. Yanqing pondered silently, remembering what Yi Yang said, that the monstrous geniuses from the outside world could increase their combat power to the level of quasi-saints in an instant. This competition on Earth was really too severe. "Let's go into the hall first, find a few forces, and build relationships, so that you can have team protection in the Saints' ruins, and your safety can be improved a lot," Leng Yi said. "Thank you so much, Leng Yi." Yanqing was quite embarrassed. Just yesterday, he was angry with Leng Yi. "It's nothing. You work hard for my ice palace, and of course my ice palace has to repay you. My master contacted me yesterday. Although I don't know the reason, he asked me to help you well," Leng Yi said calmly. "Your master?" Yanqing was surprised. He didn't know the ice martial saint, and had no relationship with this saint. The thoughts of the saint are not something that ordinary people can guess. The master has the insight for lies and can foresee the future, Leng Yi said. No wonder it is so. Yanqing was relieved. His uncle Guqin could also foresee the future and even enter the long river of destiny. Perhaps the ice martial saint saw a corner of the future, so he asked Leng Yi to follow him. Yanqing and Leng Yi walked and talked and soon arrived at the door of the hall. Chapter 132 Zerg. The hall was very spacious, covering hundreds of square meters. The leaders of the forces sat casually on soft chairs and talked. On the high sandalwood table in front of them, there were various fruits and exquisitely made cakes. As soon as Yanqing and Leng Yi entered the hall, they were recognized by many forces. The banquet, which was originally full of toasts and conversations, immediately became quiet. Yanqing could feel that dozens of eyes were lingering on him, as if they wanted to see through him. Yanqing understood that it was because he killed the blood immortal that attracted the attention of these leaders. The waiter on the side led Yanqing and Leng Yi to sit in the seats just below Wu Liang's seat. After watching for a while, the leaders continued to talk. Although what the ice palace did was big, it had nothing to do with them. The appearance of Yanqing and Leng Yi only aroused their curiosity. Yanqing picked up a blue fruit on the plate and took a bite. The fragrance was overflowing, and the fragrance lingered on his teeth and cheeks. A warm current flowed into his body and directly turned into yuan energy. This fruit is so magical, Yanqing said in surprise. This is the blue crystal fruit, a specialty of the dragon horn star. It blooms once every 3 years and bears fruit once every 3 years. It has a high nutritional value and is very precious. A voice sounded beside Yanqing, explaining. Yanqing turned his head and saw a thin silver-haired young man who raised his glass to him. He carefully noticed that this silver-haired young man was sitting at the same seat as him and was obviously from a prominent family. Blue crystal fruit, a very good name. Yanqing nodded to the silver-haired young man. Leng Yi, do you want one? Yanqing had just asked when he suddenly realized that Leng Yi had lost his usual composure and could no longer maintain his cold face. What's going on? Yanqing was a little confused. Leng Yi walked up to the silver-haired young man, stared at him for a while, and said, Guzang, how did you get here from the Lyristar region? Hey, do you two know each other? Yanqing was a little surprised. Well, I'm from the Le Palace in the Lyristar region. The Le Palace and the Ice Palace are allies. Leng Yi and the Ice Warrior Saint used to stay in the Le Palace. We've known each other since childhood, but we haven't been in touch in the past few years. The silver-haired young man laughed. So that's how it is. Yanqing understood. No wonder Leng Yi was not calm. It turned out that he met his childhood playmate. Guzang, you haven't answered me why you came here. Your body is congenitally deficient. Shouldn't you run around? Leng Yi frowned. Don't worry, I won't die for a while. I came to Langjiao Star because I heard that there will be 5 element of divine objects in the relics of the saints on earth this time, so I came here. There will be 5 element of divine objects here? Impossible. It's just a place where a saint sits and dies. How could there be something that even the human emperor can't find? You should go back as soon as possible and don't waste time here, Leng Yi advised. Guzang shook his head and said casually, we have to give it a try. Otherwise, staying in the Palace of Music and not going out for a long time, even if we can live a few more years, what's the point? It's better to travel outside and live a wonderful life. But you have changed a lot in the past few years. It feels like the path you are walking is getting farther and farther away from what you want to go. It's not good to go on like this. Guzang's eyes lit up, and he saw something different under Leng Yi's cold appearance. You don't have to worry about it. You should worry about yourself. Leng Yi snorted, poured himself a glass of wine, drank it all, and no longer paid attention to Guzang. His shaking hands showed that Leng Yi was in a very uneasy mood. By the way, I don't know who you are, Guzang asked. My name is Yanqing, I'm Leng Yi's friend, and I came to this planet for the relics of the saints. Yanqing introduced himself. Guzang stretched out his hand and shook it with Yanqing. He smiled and said, you have a pure and bright heart. No wonder Leng Yi would go with you. Really? Yanqing felt that Guzang's eyes seemed to be able to see through people's hearts and see into his heart. How about going into the saints' ruins together? Guzang invited. This? Yanqing pondered. He didn't know how strong Guzang was. Looking at Guzang's sickly appearance, if he went with him, the situation would be very bad. You promise him? Leng Yi spoke at this time. Don't look at his serious illness, as if he was blown down by the wind all of a sudden, but his strength is definitely not worse than yours. None of the people who came to the Le Palace are simple characters. Sorry, I underestimated you. Yanqing apologized. He really didn't expect Guzang to have such fighting power. Nothing. Guzang waved his hand. His expression was very gentle, and he was not angry at all. Just when Yanqing and Guzang wanted to discuss how to explore the saint's ruins, the hall suddenly shook violently, and the fruits and cakes on the high table rolled to the ground. Is there an earthquake? Someone in the hall exclaimed. Bang, 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 one after another. It seemed to hit everyone's heart hard. No, this is not an earthquake, but the sound of people walking, and the direction of movement is the entrance of the hall. A leader identified the sound and shouted loudly, making everyone's eyes turn to the entrance. Bang! A man in a black robe stepped on the steps and appeared at the entrance of the hall. Someone was about to scold him for daring to act wildly in Tailing Mountain, but when he saw Wu Liang next to the black-robed man, he immediately swallowed the words in his mouth. Who is this black-robed man? Wu Liang actually condescended to accompany him and was in a weak position. Could he be a saint? Many people were shocked when they thought of this possibility. They stood up from their soft chairs and saluted Wu Liang and the black-robed man. Leng Yi and Gu Chang also stood up, but Yanqing was still sitting and did not get up. What on earth is this indescribable evil aura? Yanqing's forehead dripped with sweat. He felt a great terror that could not be expressed in words and could not move at all. He stared at the black-robed man closely. The speed of the small universe of his sixth sense was faster than ever before. It seemed that a black hole appeared in front of him. The darkness inside seemed to be able to suck everything in and annihilate it. Boom. After the speed of the small universe reached its limit, it suddenly sublimated. Yanqing's eyes were covered with a layer of faint light. He looked at the black-robed man. His body shook violently, and his heart was cold. Behind this black-robed man, there was a huge insect phantom with 3 wings and 6 legs, and spikes all over its body. The insect body was tens of meters tall, and the fangs on its pointed mouth were extremely sharp. It screamed and vibrated its 6 wings. A pair of compound eyes took everyone in the hall into its field of vision. The insect looked at everyone, as if it was looking at a sumptuous dinner, full of greed and desire. This is Zerg. Chapter 133, Unusual Movement. Strange, why didn't everyone here realize that this black-robed man was a Zerg? These leaders were all immortals who had fought against the Zerg on the battlefield. Wu Liang, who was beside the black-robed man, was a quasi-saint. Logically, they should not have failed to notice it. Yanqing's body was stiff, and his mind was turning over such thoughts. Yanqing, get up. Leng Yi's lips moved, and he anxiously sent a message to Yanqing. Yanqing, who was the only one sitting, became the focus of everyone. Many people had dissatisfaction in their eyes, and they were even more disgusted with Leng Yi and Yanqing, 2 outsiders from other planets. It's not. I don't want to move, but I can't move. Yanqing sent a message with difficulty. At this moment, his nerves were tense to the extreme. The terrifying Zerg phantom was infinitely magnified in his heart, oppressing Yanqing's spirit and making him unable to move at all. Can't move. Leng Yi was startled. He didn't understand what Yanqing was saying. The footsteps of the black-robed man shook the sky and the earth, and there were fluctuations in the laws. His actions were natural. Compared with Wu Liang, he was more in tune with the heaven and earth. He slowly turned his head, looked at Yanqing, and stopped. Yanqing's scalp exploded. He saw a giant insect looking at him with red compound eyes, between 2 rows of sharp fangs. A bright red tongue covered with barbs, stretched and retracted on his head, as if wanting to swallow him directly. Wu Liang's face did not change. The people of the Ice Palace were not giving him face. When the distinguished guest came, they dared to do this. Did they really think that the Ice Palace was the hegemon? The power behind this distinguished guest was far more powerful than the Ice Palace. Wu Liang was about to scold, but the black-robed man waved his hand and said, "It doesn't matter. This young friend is gifted and arrogant. It's normal. I admire him. Yes, Sir. Wu Liang breathed a sigh of relief. He was afraid that the black-robed sir would be dissatisfied. Now it seems that the black-robed sir seems to be in a good mood. Wu Liang and the black-robed man sat on the main seat in the hall. This is Lord Jess from the Sky Eagle Star region. He is about to take the step of becoming a saint. I envy him very much. Wu Liang laughed and introduced the identity of the black-robed man to everyone in the hall. Meet Lord Jess. The leaders were shocked and saluted again. This is a saint in preparation. There are not many in a star region. He deserves the respect of all of them. Everyone, sit down. Don't be restrained. Jess said lightly, with invisible power in his voice. Yes, Lord Jess. The leaders, including Leng Yi and Gu Chang, sat down. It was not until this time that Yanqing solved the giant insect phantom in his mind and his body was able to move. You are fine. Who? It's okay. It's just that something went wrong with the operation of the UN energy just now, so I can't move. Yanqing wiped the sweat from his forehead and panted. He couldn't say it directly, otherwise Jess would definitely hear it. The power of the quasi-saint is very strong. Even if it is a sound transmission, it can capture the content. Really? You have to have a good rest when you go back. Leng Yi's eyes flashed, and he said calmly. Yanqing was obviously lying, as if he was hiding something. Considering Yanqing's reaction when Jace came in, Leng Yi's heart tightened violently. Could it be that Yanqing discovered something unusual? To make a long story short, everyone gathered here for the saint's relics. As the initiator of the conference, I, Wu Liang, also have some information. Now I will tell you about the situation of the saint's relics. The saint's relics is the place where the saints from the outside world sat and died. It is surrounded by the saint's laws and cannot be entered. However, now there are two quasi-saints, me and Lord Jace, who can break the laws in advance and let us enter the saint's relics together. Wu Liang's words were passionate and excited the leaders of the hall. There are also many dangers in the saint's relics. Even if you are an immortal, if you are not careful, you may be swallowed by the power of the laws, so you must be careful. These words were very ordinary, even nonsense, but Yanqing felt something was wrong. Once the saint's relics involved the Zerg, things would change in an unpredictable and uncontrollable direction. Leng Yi once said that there were Zergs between the Aquarius star region and the Swan star region, and the Ice Palace gave up the Dragon Horn star because of this. Now that the Zergs have appeared, this is definitely a big deal. The enemy of mankind is not a joke. This matter must be reported to the Ice Palace, or even to the high-level Galaxy Alliance, and handed over to the Saints to deal with. Yanqing knew very well that the Zerg is a group of people. There must be more than one bug here, and there may be a large group. Okay, let's go now. As soon as Wu Liang finished speaking, he received a response from everyone. Oh no, we have to go now. Yanqing's heart tightened. It would be better not to participate in the Saints' ruins this time. There is no need to take risks, but when Jace came in, something unusual happened. If he directly brought it up now, he would inevitably be suspected. What should I do? Yanqing racked his brains, but he couldn't think of a solution anyway. Leng Yi glanced at Yanqing, pondered for a while, stood up and said to Wu Liang, Uncle Wu, our Ice Palace will not participate in this event this time. Why? Wu Liang was stunned and asked. Yanqing's skills just had problems. Uncle Wu also knows the characteristics of my Ice Palace's skills. Once there is a problem, you can't use the energy recklessly. This time I can only regretfully withdraw. Leng Yi said. Is that so? Then forget it. Nephew Yanqing should take good care of his injuries. Wu Liang sighed and pretended to be very sorry. The other leaders were happy to see this happen. Yanqing's withdrawal would reduce one person from competing with them. This was a good thing. Yanqing and Leng Yi bowed to Jess and Wu Liang, turned around and walked towards the door of the hall. Jess's black robe surged slightly. At this time, he said in a low voice, my friend, are you really not going to participate? I can heal your injuries. Yanqing's heart skipped a beat. He tried to maintain a stable state of mind. Under the mobilization of his mind and spirit, the energy violently impacted his meridians, causing blood to flow from the corners of his mouth and his face to turn pale. Thank you for your kindness, Lord Jace. Unfortunately, my injury must be treated by someone from the Ice Palace. Yanqing bowed deeply. Jace was silent for a while and said, "In that case, you should take good care of your injury." His tone was full of disappointment. Many leaders wanted to scold Yanqing. He was so stupid to refuse the good intentions of the Saint in preparation. But what these leaders didn't know was that when Yanqing said that, the giant insect phantom behind Jace was about to pounce on Yanqing. Lengyi and Yanqing left the hall at just the right speed, went down the mountain, and returned to the starship. "Thank you for the rewards from the Dead Dance Tycoon and the Pig Tycoon, and the rewards from the 13th sister last week. I almost forgot about this. There will be a big explosion this week. Please support me. By the way, the back end of Kidian opens very slowly. It was 9:30 and it has only been uploaded now." Chapter 134 Interception. "Let's go." Yanqing's voice was calm, but Lengyi knew that Yanqing's tone was not like this at ordinary times. Lengyi was a little confused. What was Yanqing afraid of? He dared not tell the truth. "We will set off immediately." As soon as the two entered the cockpit, a voice suddenly sounded in their ears. "Wait for me, I will go with you." Yanqing's face changed, and his mental power swept under the starship. A familiar breath appeared in his perception. This was Guzang. "It's Guzang." Yanqing saw that Lengyi did not look surprised at all, and he immediately understood. It was probably because Lengyi was worried about Guzang going to the Saint's ruins, so he also called him down. Lengyi said, "I'll ask him to come up. One more person is good." Yanqing nodded. But the elevator opened, and the thin Guzang slowly walked up and came to the starship. "There are too many powerful people in the Saint's ruins this time. Without your help, I can't get anything good. I'd better give up." Guzang blinked and said seriously. He obviously noticed something from Yanqing and Lengyi's abnormal behavior. The three of them took the starship and quickly left Telling Mountain. It was not until they flew more than 3,000 miles that Yanqing felt that he was out of the range that the quasi-saint could detect. He relaxed and put on a solemn look. "Yanqing, what did you find? Tell me," Lengyi said. Yanqing said in a deep voice, "Lengyi, I found the Zerg." "What?" Lengyi and Guzang were shocked. Lengyi's hand suddenly lost control, causing the starship to shake and almost flip over. "Zerg? Yanqing, you are telling the truth." Guzang's face was serious. As the heir of Le Palace, he knew the horror of the Zerg very well. "Are you saying that Jace is a Zerg?" Lengyi connected Yanqing's reaction at that time and speculated. For the first time, a worried expression appeared on his face. "Yes, Lengyi, you should know that I'm not on the path of martial arts, so I can keenly see things that you cannot find." The moment Jace appeared, I saw a giant insect with 6 wings and 6 legs, covered with spikes behind him. It has an extremely strong evil dark aura. Yanqing described the giant insect shadow he saw. 6-winged skyworm. Lengyi and Guchang's faces changed drastically, and they shouted together. "What kind of insect is this?" 6-winged skyworm is the evolved form of the Zerg skyworm species. Ordinary skyworms have 2 wings. As the strength of the skyworm becomes stronger, the wings of the skyworm will also increase. The skyworm at the level of insect warriors has 4 pairs of wings, and the level of insect generals has 6 pairs of wings. This kind of insect is the main battle team of the Zerg. More than 80% of the immortals who died on the battlefield were killed by them. It is one of the most terrifying insect species. Guchang quickly told the information of the 6-winged skyworm. Yanqing is right. This is definitely the Zerg. The Zerg's divine form is their own form. No wonder you want to leave. Once the Saint's ruins are involved with the Zerg, you must not enter. Now that I think about it, there are still many doubts about the news of the Saint's ruins. There is definitely something fishy. Lengyi's eyes were cold. Zerg actually appeared on Lang Geostar, and they were at the quasi-saint level. This was definitely a big deal. Not only that, Jace brought almost all the immortals on Lang Geostar to the Saint's ruins. There may be a big conspiracy hidden in this. If there are no immortals on Lang Geostar, and the immortals are destroyed in the Saint's ruins, or can't get out, then what will happen outside? Lengyi speculated. This unimaginable terrible result made the 3 of them gasp. "We have to report it. You and I will notify the Saints of the Ice Palace and the Music Palace respectively, and ask Master Lan and Master Yu to come to Lang Geostar to suppress the Zerg. There is definitely more than one on Lang Geostar. If the Zerg breaks through here and invades the human race, the harm caused will be too great. Guzan thought about it, and the faces of the three people became more and more ugly. They clearly realized the seriousness of this matter, which was enough to threaten the safety of the entire human race. Hurry back, as soon as possible, Yanqing said. Yes. Leng Yi nodded. He pulled the joystick, increased to the maximum power, and wanted to speed up the starship, but at this moment, the starship suddenly flipped over, and sparks appeared on the cockpit. What's wrong? Yanqing's energy condensed under his feet to stand firmly. We were attacked. It was a sky worm, Leng Yi said coldly. He pulled the joystick, and the starship suddenly took off, avoiding several huge fireballs that hit it. It's a worm of the level of a worm general, and its energy is roughly equivalent to the third level of the transformation realm. It's so strong. Guzan coughed, his hands clenched tightly, and there was a violent fluctuation of earth energy. Sure enough, that six-winged worm still doubted me and wanted to kill us all. Leng Yi, you open the skylight. I'm going to kill this worm. Yanqing came to the transparent window and waited for Leng Yi to open the skylight. You can't deal with a worm of the third level of the transformation realm, Yanqing, Leng Yi said anxiously. He had seen the battle between Yanqing and Wei Gong, and Yanqing's combat power was only equivalent to the second level of the transformation realm, and he definitely couldn't beat the third level. Don't worry, I have realized something new. If we don't kill this worm, we can't get away. Hurry up, Yanqing shouted. Leng Yi, Yanqing and I will fight the enemy together. Leave it to us. Guzan took out a silver harp from his waist, put his hands on it, and his momentum rose. Then be careful. After I land the starship, I will go to join the battle. Leng Yi gritted his teeth and pressed the button to open the skylight. Bang! Yanqing and Guzan bounced out of the starship like cannonballs. They saw a skyworm circling in the air with its fangs bared and saliva dripping from its mouth. The holy clothes are put on. Yanqing took out the Pegasus holy clothes box from the space ring. The holy clothes box flashed and opened quickly. Several streams of light fell, and the Pegasus holy clothes were put on Yanqing. Pegasus meteor fist. Guzan plucked the harp elegantly with both hands. His technique was complicated and complicated. A light pluck was like shaking a mountain. Hundreds of sound blades stuck shape and slashed at the skyworm at an extremely fast speed. For this giant worm with terrifying strength, a large-scale attack can cause the greatest damage. Jace flew to Shaoyang Mountain with everyone else, flying rapidly in the air, his black robe fluttering in the wind. At this time, Jenny should have stopped those three people. As for that little devil, no matter whether he discovers my identity or not, there will be no problem, as long as he is killed. My Gil Legion is going to open another Zerg front here. Jace's eyes flashed red, cold and cruel. Chapter 135, Clan Enemy. Pegasus Meteor Fist. Yanqing threw thousands of punches in 1 second, and the blue-white fist light shot out, shaking the void, as if the whole world was shaking. As the first Saint CR move that Yanqing had learned, Yanqing's understanding of Pegasus Meteor Fist was already perfect. Silver movement. Guzan gently stroked the harp, and hundreds of sound blades triggered by the strings were arranged in a regular pattern and hit in waves, trying to directly submerge the skyworm. Boom. The two killing moves fell on the skyworm, and the light sky soared into the sky. The skyworm's body cracked and broke apart. Did you kill it? Yanqing was tense. He felt that this was unreal. The skyworm equivalent to the third level of immortals. How could it be so easy to fall? But a vibration of wings came from Yanqing's ears, and he was greatly alarmed. The UN energy burst out and quickly rushed dozens of meters high. Tear. Blood flashed, the void fluctuated, and the skyworm appeared at the original position of Yanqing. A sickle-like sharp foot hooked off a piece of Yanqing's flesh. Guzan was shocked and joined Yanqing. The speed of the skyworm was too fast. He could not dodge it at all. Snap. Yanqing's frost flashed, freezing the bleeding wound on his shoulder. He did not expect that with the small universe of the intermediate sixth sense, he could not catch the trace of the skyworm. Two human geniuses, what a delicious food. The skyworm spoke excitedly, chewing Yanqing's flesh in his mouth. The red compound eyes reflected tens of thousands of Yanqing and Guzan's figures. The barbed tongue licked the edge of the fangs, savoring the taste. Lin. Fight. Yanqing's Yuaneng body was strengthened tenfold. He took a step in the air and collapsed the space. Since he could not keep up with the speed, he wanted to fight the Sky Worm in close combat. Guzan looked at Yanqing, who was as vast as the sea. He was shocked. How could Yanqing's aura suddenly become more than 10 times stronger? This was unscientific. But this was good. Their chances of winning would also increase. The Sky Worm laughed loudly. It was really tired of living to dare to fight the Zerg. Its 6 legs moved, and its whole body seemed to be swimming in the water. It came close to Yanqing and swung its 2 sickle legs. Bang! A 5-colored sword suddenly appeared in Yanqing's hand, with 5-colored brilliance flowing. It took the Sky Worm's attack head on, and at the same time, swung its left fist. Freezing fist. The freezing air spread inch by inch on the Sky Worm's body, freezing its 2 sickle legs and half of the insect's body. The Sky Worm was startled. Ice attributed skills? Good opportunity. Guzan was shocked. He plucked the strings of the zither with both hands. A mysterious melody sounded. The notes danced in the air, turning into thousands of troops, holding weapons and full of murderous aura. The song of the mysterious army. Clang, clang, clang. The weapons collided, and a streak of sparks flew across the back of the Sky Worm, but it could not break through the armored defense. Guzan's face was solemn. This was his first time to encounter a real Zerg. Although he knew some information about the Zerg, he had no actual combat experience. Moreover, his rhythmic attack had little effect on the Zerg, unless they entered the immortal realm. It's really weak, that's all it can do. The Sky Worm shook lightly, and an extremely evil aura bloomed, ice crystals shattered, and its 2 sickle legs waved, with the power of the law fluctuating. Bang! Yanqing responded calmly. The 5-colored divine light fell, and the sword blocked, but at this moment, the Sky Worm suddenly spread its 6 wings, and the 2 wings were like sharp blades, slashing horizontally. Yanqing was caught off guard, and turned over to dodge, but his body was still scratched by 2 deep blood marks on the wings, and blood was spilled. Hiss. Yanqing inhaled, and his energy burst out. He retreated dozens of meters, and looked at the blood marks on his body. He was still frightened. He was almost cut into 4 pieces just now. Yanqing, attack its armor. Although it is very hard, it is the weakness of the Sky Worm. The energy of the whole body is concentrated in this place. Once it is broken, the cultivation will be wasted. Guzan plucked the strings of the zither to block the pursuit of the Sky Worm, and shouted, I know. Yanqing nodded, holding the sword and attacking again, fighting with the Sky Worm in close combat. You can break my armor and my food with your strength, give up struggling. The Sky Worm flapped its 6 wings together, and the wind whistled. The terrible power surged out, and tore the space apart. Kill. Yanqing roared, punching out various moves, such as the fiery sun fist, the 9 sun fist, and the mountain embrace seal. With the other fist, he wielded the 5-colored Deo sword. The 5-colored divine light with the weight of a mountain fell down, and collided with the Sky Worm. Boom. The Sky Worm flew backwards, its wings were slightly torn, and the armor on its back was also left with several wounds, and it was slightly injured. Yanqing was in a worse state. He was almost dead. His torso was split in 2 from the neck down. The insect wings cut him in half and his body fell from the sky. He actually used his body to bear the attack in exchange for the opportunity to hurt me. This guy really didn't care about his life. Qianchang said in shock. Yanqing. Guzan shouted nervously. Yanqing was too reckless. He was so seriously injured that it would be difficult for him to survive, let alone fight. Moreover, he couldn't get away and couldn't save Yanqing. You are the only one left. Qianchang ignored Yanqing, who was falling from the sky and on the verge of death, and directly faced Guzan. Night Song. Guzan quickly plucked the silver harp with one hand. This was his strongest attack move, which directly affected the spirit. He could only fight like this. He was definitely not the opponent of Qianchang, who was equivalent to a fairy in the 3rd realm. If it was a fairy in the 1st realm, he might be able to defeat him. Powerful moves, but you are too weak. The Skyworm commented in a playful manner. With his strength, he could easily crush these 2 human geniuses. He screamed sharply, and the sound directly overwhelmed the mighty sound of the piano. Puff. Guzan vomited blood, and blood flowers bloomed on his chest. It seemed that he was really going to die. It was a pity that he had not yet experienced this beautiful starfield scenery carefully. Guzang sighed, closed his eyes, and waited for death to come. Die. The skyworm's sickle fell and was about to kill Guzang. Phoenix wings fly. A loud shout came, and the sky was full of flames, sweeping across the world. The sky and the earth were red, and 300 miles became scorched earth. The fierce wind rubbed against the flames, and a fire phoenix sang, and the red clouds were brilliant. It directly hit the skyworm's armor, burning the armor red, and revealing a big hole. The skyworm screamed, rolling in the air, dripping green blood, and its cultivation level also dropped. It stared at the person who attacked it, and said in horror, "Aren't you dying?" Guzang also raised his head, and came back to his senses from the despair of death. He was also stunned. Yanqing actually appeared in front of him alive, and his body was intact, without any damage. "I will not die, and you will die too," Yanqing said coldly, attacking the skyworm, not giving it a chance to recover. Yanqing's body was full of vitality and boiling energy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, Killing the Skyworm. Impossible. No one can recover after being injured so badly, and the strength and speed of this attack are exactly the same as before the injury. What kind of secret method is this? The skyworm screamed. It was now being directly suppressed by Yanqing and kept retreating, feeling very frustrated. Guzang was right. The back armor was indeed the weakness of their skyworm clan. A big hole was burned through the armor, and energy was lost. Its cultivation level instantly dropped by 1 level, and its strength was greatly weakened. Yanqing smiled slightly. When he killed the blood immortal with 9 lives, he realized the resurrection secret art of the wording. With his own essence as the guide, no matter how many injuries he suffered, he could recover in an instant. Although he could not recover 9 times, he could still recover once or twice. He fell from the air at that time to paralyze the skyworm, thus causing this terrible blow, which reversed the battle situation of both sides, and put the skyworm at a disadvantage. 9 Sun Fist. Yanqing raised his hand and shook off 3 suns. The golden flames of the suns burned like gold. With the remaining momentum of Fengyi Shan Ziyang, under the super high temperature, he gave the skyworm another fierce blow. Guzang seized the opportunity, plucked the silver harp, played the song of the night, and harassed the skyworm from the spiritual aspect, not giving the skyworm the opportunity to concentrate its mental power and fight back. The two cooperated perfectly, and the skyworm's body exploded everywhere, and large pieces of green blood flowed down. Sizzle. The skyworm was extremely angry, its fangs stretched out, and its body began to shrink. In a blink of an eye, its body shrank to 1/3 of its original size. The wound on the armor on its back also became lighter, and its sickle feet flashed with a faint cold light. This is a divine form possession. Unlike the human race's transformation into a divine form, the Zerg attaches the divine form to their own body to increase their combat power to the greatest extent. The divine form of the skyworm generally increases speed and defense. Yanqing, you have to be careful. Guzang conveyed the message to Yanqing. Don't worry, it's no problem to kill this bug. Yanqing punched one after another. Ice crystals and flames alternated with each other, forming a world of ice and fire. But after the body of the skyworm shrank, its defense suddenly increased a lot, and even the power caused by the overlapping of ice and fire could not hurt it. I will swallow you bit by bit. The skyworm showed its fangs ferociously, and its speed was faster than before, tearing off a large piece of flesh from Yanqing. Whoosh. Originally, Yanqing could not see the movement trajectory of the skyworm, and now he was in the dark, and could not detect it. His flesh was bitten off frequently. Although he was at a disadvantage, Yanqing still maintained a calm attitude, and kept colliding with the skyworm, and red and green blood splashed everywhere. No, if this goes on, Yanqing will be in danger. I must help. Guzang twisted the 3 strings together, and plucked them with his hands, as if shaking a mountain. Blood flowed from his mouth and nose, and strands of notes appeared in the air, forming a field. This is the unique timbre field of the music palace, the threefold wave string field. Clang. Golden swords formed in this domain, layer upon layer, densely packed, like a sea of swords, covering the entire domain. Yanqing, come in. Guzang shouted. Yanqing understood, moved his body, fell into the domain, and stopped. The worm also rushed in, relying on its extremely fast speed to attack Yanqing. Crack. Crack. The golden sword shattered under the impact of the worm. Yanqing followed the sound, and swung his sword backward with all his strength, opening a big hole in the belly of the worm. Ah! The worm screamed in pain. It was just blinded by anger. It was not, until it was frustrated and injured by Yanqing again, that it noticed that he had entered Guzang's domain. No, this is not good for me. The worm woke up, and wanted to escape. In the domain, his attacks would be detected by Yanqing. If you come, don't think about leaving. Guzang plucked the strings of the zither. This time, blood flowed from his eyes. This was the necessary damage caused by launching the domain with a congenitally deficient body. Layers of golden swords came like a tide, coming from all directions, trapping the sky worm. This is the real 3-layer string domain, where swords are like waves, endless, and sword energy is everywhere. The sky worm was struggling in the sea of swords, like a ship in the sea, as if it would capsize under the waves in the next moment. Yanqing blasted out sonic punches from time to time, hiding in the domain, causing greater damage to the sky worm. 2 lines of blood flowed on Guzang's pale face. He was too exhausted. He had to deal with the sky worm, not hurt Yanqing, and cover up Yanqing's moves to attack the sky worm. This was too difficult. Bang! The eardrums of both ears burst and kept bleeding. Guzang's face looked shocking at this time. You can't stop me. The sky worm flapped its 6 wings and roared. Its body was tattered, but it was about to leave the scope of the domain. Really? Ice drilling field. A cold voice came, and ice crystals shining like stars fell. The sky worm's movement suddenly slowed down, and it was hit into the depths of the field by a wave of swords. Lengyi, Yanqing said in surprise. The starship landing is a bit troublesome, but it seems that we arrived in time. Lengyi said indifferently. Hurry up and deal with this bug. I can't hold on for much longer. Guzang said intermittently, and his 7 orifices were bleeding. Leave it to us. Lengyi nodded, and his hands danced lightly. The cold air tornado rolled up countless swords in the golden sword sea field, and approached the severely injured sky worm. Aurora lightning shock. Yanqing crossed his hands, and the cold air sprayed out. The cold air tornado condensed, and the ice crystals flickered, like scattered pearls. Boom. The 2 tornadoes quickly moved together, and a wonderful change occurred. The power increased tenfold. Frozen air and cold air were originally the same thing. Frozen air was just the cold air that Yanqing tempered with his microcosm. A huge tornado appeared, absorbing all the sea of swords. The space was scraped with large cracks, revealing a black broken space. No, this is impossible. The sky worm showed a look of fear. Its 6 wings kept flapping, but it could not fly away from the giant tornado. On the contrary, it was getting closer and closer. I won't die. The sky worm struggled frantically, but its strength was greatly reduced. It could not resist the suction of the giant tornado created by Yanqing and Lengyi. In the end, the sky worm was sucked in. Puff. Guzang saw this scene, his mind relaxed, and he fell down. Lengyi's body turned into a residual image, and caught Guzang. It's not over yet, sword. Yanqing stared at the sky worm and the tornado, which would die if pierced by the golden sword, and reached out to throw the 5-color sword into it. Under the torsional acceleration created by the cause attraction, the sword was like a 5-color divine arrow, and instantly penetrated from the head of the skyworm to the lower body of the skyworm. You die, Gilla. The skyworm's compound eyes had a look of hatred as it uttered the last words. Unfortunately, Yanqing didn't hear clearly, because the storm was so strong. Boom. A huge explosion erupted inside the tornado, like a gorgeous firework, and the battle finally came to an end. This chapter is a little late. Thank you for waiting for more updates. Chapter 137 Trap. Jenny is dead. Jace was shocked and stopped in his tracks. What's wrong, Master Jace? Wu Liang asked with concern. Nothing. Jace shook his head. He looked back at the direction where Jenna's breath disappeared in the distance. his hands clenched into fists. He couldn't imagine that a third-class insect general was killed by those three little ghosts who were not even in the immortal realm. But what if he could escape with his life? As long as he took this group of people into the Saint's ruins, the entire Dragonhorn Star would be flooded by the insect tide. At that time, I would personally take action and you would still die. Jace thought cruelly. His huge mental power seemed to sense something. He looked at the gloomy sky and a hint of joy appeared on his face. The shielding and fake signal devices have been set up. In this way, Lang Geostar has been taken over by Argyle Legion. No matter who it is impossible to pass the message out. This front must be opened up by us. Jace whispered coldly and flew with a group of immortals towards the Saint's ruins not far away. There were thousands of rays of light and auspicious air, like an extremely peaceful and blessed land. Guzang, how are you? Leng Yi's anxious voice sounded in Guzang's ears, awakening his consciousness. Leng Yi, I'm fine, but my mental strength is overdrawn too much. Now we have to go back quickly. Guzang said tiredly and fainted again. I input healing energy. He will get better soon. Don't worry. The light on Yanqing's hand disappeared, and he sent a part of the small universe into Guzang's body, allowing Guzang to recover quickly. Thank you. Leng Yi nodded to Yanqing. He had lived in the Ice Palace for a long time, and had a cold personality. It was difficult for outsiders to approach him. Gu Chang was one of his few friends. He cherished such friendship very much, and didn't want Gu Chang to get into trouble. Nothing. This is what I should do. Yanqing took a breath. After experiencing a fierce battle and healing Gu Chang, his microcosm was greatly consumed. But, Leng Yi, I have a bad premonition. It feels like I'm being suffocated by something. Yanqing looked at the sky with changing colors and said in a deep voice. As his sixth sense of microcosm strengthened, his vague ability to predict the future gradually became stronger. Do you feel that a storm is coming? Leng Yi also looked at the sky and said. His sense was also very sharp. Yes, you feel it too? Well, let's go. Things may not be as simple as we thought. Leng Yi said with a stern face. The two boarded the starship, increased to the fastest speed, and flew towards the Ice Palace. Because the starship was attacked by the Skyworm, the speed was reduced a lot, which made Yanqing very anxious. He was afraid that terrible things would happen and endanger Xiander and Xiaobei. I hope everything is my illusion. Go back. The Saint's ruins. We are here. Many leaders could no longer contain their excitement and landed on Shaoyang Mountain, gathering at the entrance of a deep cave. There was a colorful light released at the entrance, which was dazzling. Lord Jess, Lord Wu Liang, please help me. We can't wait. If we can get the star crystals from the Saint's ruins, our Dragonhorn Star may be able to give birth to a saint this time. It is said that there are even 5 elements of divine objects in it. Only a trace of it can replenish the innate vitality of the human body and achieve the strongest talent. It can also be trained into an imperial soldier. If we can get it, we will be rich. Wu Liang's eyes flashed red, and he smiled at everyone. Now open the ruins, and everyone can keep the treasures they get inside. But Lord Jess and I consume a lot of money to open the ruins, and we also have to maintain order, so everyone who returns must pay 1/10 of the value of the treasures. Wu Liang looked around at everyone and smiled slightly. Do you have any opinions? Everyone shook their heads. They knew very well that Wu Liang and Jess would not help for nothing, especially Wu Liang wanted to be the emperor and dominate Dragonhorn Star. How could he be merciful? He was definitely a man who would eat people without spitting out bones. This time, taking 1/10 was actually very good. Lord Jace, let's begin. Okay. A cruel smile appeared on Jace's face under his black robe. His hands flashed red light, just like the light in Wu Liang's eyes. Strands of red line stretched out from Jace's hands and hid in the void. No one knew what was tied to the other end. Holy Fist of the Heavens. Wu Liang shouted. His fist had the aura that shook the heavens. The power of the quasi-saint permeated, erasing the law protection of the saint's remains. The cave immediately shook and emitted a fierce light. Eagle god form. Jace spoke lightly, and a divine eagle with a wingspan of hundreds of meters appeared. The eagle's cry was 9 days, and its wings were spread. The feathers shot out like sharp arrows. There were a total of 98,000 feathers. The energy was wantonly and mighty, striking ripples on the law protection. Open. Wu Liang roared, and his hands exerted force again. The space collapsed directly. A large black space crack fell on the law protection, and crackling electric light sounded. Eagle pounds. The huge eagle rose into the sky, and with the momentum of the downward rush, its speed instantly increased to the extreme. Like a meteorite, with overwhelming fire, the law rose and hit the law guard. Crack. Under the power of the two saints, the law guard finally cracked, and a narrow hole that could only accommodate 2 people appeared. Quick, seize the opportunity to go in. This hole will be repaired quickly. Wu Liang shouted. He rushed in first, taking the lead. Understood, Lord Wu Liang. The leaders who were tempted by the treasure and blinded by greed rushed out without thinking, and entered the cave with brilliant rays of light. Bang. After everyone entered, the hole healed rapidly, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. At this time, only Jess was left outside. The air was silent, everything seemed to be still, and Jess's body trembled. Haha, ah ha ha, ah ha ha ha. Jess's black robe moved without wind, and he laughed loudly. The sound became louder and crazier. Sizzle. The black robe was torn. He turned into his original form, a 6-winged skyworm, with a terrifying appearance and red compound eyes flashing with ecstasy. We Zerg have finally got this planet. It's time to send a message. Jace's fangs were exposed and he screamed. The sound echoed between heaven and earth, revealing a sense of joy, and spreading far away. Boom. With this scream, in a deep valley far away, more screams sounded one after another, and pairs of red eyes appeared densely in the darkness. Chapter 138, Insect Tide. General Jess has eliminated the threat according to Marshal Gill's instructions, and tricked all the immortals on this planet into the insect pool. You are worthy of being our Deputy Legion Commander. You have never failed in carrying out a mission. In this way, our Gill Legion can make great contributions, and will definitely receive generous rewards from the Third Prince. Next, we will build a mother nest on the planet. The insect pool will melt all the immortals, and transform them into the power needed by the mother nest, but this is not enough. Only by transforming most of the creatures on this big planet into nutrients can the mother nest be built, and the first front can block the attack of the human saints. Give the order. The Legion should also be dispatched. There was a conversation in the big crack in the deep valley, and the sound of limbs and claws colliding was heard. Boom. The area shook violently, as if there was an earthquake. Red light flashed one after another, and the voices of the 3 Zerg masters echoed in the deep valley. It's time to go. Insect soldiers, harvest the vitality of this planet, send nutrients to the insect pool as quickly as possible, and turn this planet into our Legion base. After staying here for 3 months, both you and us have been boiling with bloodthirsty desires, and can no longer be suppressed. So from now on, it's time to release and vent. Go and fight. Go and destroy everything in front of you. Boom. Hiss. Buzz. Countless insects crawled out of the deep valley, with excited and fanatical looks in their red compound eyes. They had black streamlined carapaces, sharp sickle feet, and strong limbs. Some flew high in the sky, and some ran on the ground, like a huge black torrent passing through the earth, vast and endless. After the insect tide roared past, the green earth became desolate and lifeless. Charge. A 2-winged and 4-legged insect shaped like a lion commanded in the sky, guiding the direction of the insect tide. At this time, the insects coming out of the big crack have spread for dozens of miles, but there are still insects pouring out from the abyss. 4 million insect soldiers are only 1/3 of the Legion's strength. The Deputy Legion Commander really doesn't bring enough. At this rate, it will take another day to cover all places on this big star. It's easy to change. A sky insect vibrated its wings and kept screaming. The Deputy Legion Commander has his own plans. Besides, Marshal Gill has already arranged a camouflage signal device in outer space, perfectly simulating the original fluctuations of the Dragon Horn star. At the same time, the shielding signal device also covers the entire planet. Even if someone wants to send information to other planets, it is impossible. A snake-shaped insect that is only a few dozen centimeters long bends its body into a ring, and its tail shrinks and stretches, making a sound. I know this, but the situation is going so smoothly, I'm afraid there will be changes. 30 years ago, when Marshal Gill was still the chief of staff of the Lehe Corps, he occupied a planet in this way. The process was very smooth, but at the last moment of success, he was discovered by a human emperor, who slashed with a sword across thousands of light years and directly destroyed the Lehe Corps. The Skyworm said with lingering fear. This time, the place of landing is a Swan Star region. There is no human emperor in this star region. Moreover, at this time, our Zerg in the Andromeda Star region is making great moves. The strong men of the human race are all paying attention to that place. How can they have time to take care of here? The snake-shaped insect analyzed. Besides, this is not a problem we need to consider. The Deputy Legion Commander is not qualified. Only Marshal Gill can decide. We just need to perform our duties as subordinates well. I hope Marshal Gill can build this front line so that our Zerg can directly threaten the human base Earth, and the battlefield in the Andromeda Star region can also gain a certain advantage. The Skyworm waved its 6 wings and went to the location of the insect pool with the snake-shaped insect. Boom. The starship whizzed through the air. Leng Yi, how long will it take? Yanqing asked impatiently. 3 minutes. After passing the deep valley and the big crack of this continent, and then going west for 531 miles, we will reach the Ice Palace. Leng Yi answered calmly. Just as the starship was about to fly over the big crack, Yanqing saw a black torrent on the ground that was 100 miles long. What is this? Yanqing murmured, and the ominous premonition in his heart became stronger. Not good. Yanqing and Leng Yi finally saw what was on the ground, and their faces suddenly changed. Leng Yi pulled up the joystick, and the starship rushed into the sky, avoiding the big crack. So many bugs. Yanqing was shocked. The number is at least several million. Such a large number of bugs must be a legion. Why did the Zerg Legion appear on Lan Geostar quietly and launch a bug tide? This is to build a mother nest. Leng Yi remembered the terrible thing and his face turned pale. Notify the Saint immediately. We can't wait any longer. I originally wanted to use the station's information transmitter to explain it in full, but now it seems that I can only use the communicator to report it directly to the master. Leng Yi took out the communicator from his arms, sent the message, and clicked the confirmation button. Beep. The message failed to send. Leng Yi pressed it again, and the result was still the same. This is a signal shield. Yanqing said bitterly. Wei Gong had used it on the City of Light before, but Wei Gong's signal shield was obviously not as advanced and terrifying as this one. Bang. Leng Yi punched the control panel. The enemy actually blocked the interstellar signal. Now they can't even notify the Saint. There must be a worm commander equivalent to a Saint in a legion. The worm commander's attack will cause the sky to collapse and the earth to split. No one can stop it except the Saint. The Dragonhorn star is estimated to fall and turn into the Zerg's mother nest, and they will also become the nutrients of the mother nest. In other words, Leng Yi can still analyze the extremely bad situation without mental collapse. Go back to the base and save our people first. As for the others, we can't save them and can only give up. Yanqing said it ruthlessly, but it was the truth. Without strong enough strength, how could they save everyone? They didn't even have the strength of immortals. If they faced the insect commander, they would be killed with one finger. If they rashly saved everyone, the final outcome would be to take everyone to death. There are still 30 seconds. Leng Yi's voice was low, and his hand pinched several deep fingerprints on the joystick. It was not the first time he had seen the Zerg. When he was a child, he had seen the Zerg once, and that was the memory he least wanted to recall. Beep, beep. The coordinates overlapped. Leng Yi came back to his senses and said, "We have arrived at the Ice Palace base." Bang. Yanqing opened the skylight and anxiously jumped down from the air. He was very worried about Qin Xiang and Wen Xiaobei. Chapter 139. Distant Memories. The insect tide is still far from here. Yanqing is really anxious. Leng Yi looked at the open skylight, shook his head helplessly, pulled the joystick, and landed. But he has people who cherish each other, which makes me envious. Leng Yi's voice was low, and his eyes seemed a little lonely. Boom. Yanqing fell directly from the sky to the center of the Ice Palace, smashing a deep pit, shocking the warriors of the Ice Palace. He ignored the warriors and broke the sound barrier at a speed. In an instant, he came to where he lived here. Xianja, Xiaobei. Before Yanqing entered the villa, he saw the familiar figures of the two, and his heart settled down a little. Brother Yan, why are you back so soon? Wen Xiaobei, who was exercising on the grass, wiped the sweat from his face and asked curiously. Qin Xiang rolled up her sleeves and walked over with a wooden basin filled with clothes in her hands. She looked at Yanqing's anxious face and frowned slightly, saying, Yanqing, is there something wrong with Tailing Mountain? Yanqing nodded and said quickly, Zergs have appeared on this planet. They are just a few hundred miles away. A terrible tide of Zergs is approaching here. We must leave quickly. Zergs? Wen Xiaobei asked in confusion. He was young and had been struggling on the poverty line for a long time, so he didn't know how terrible Zergs were. Bang! The wooden basin rolled to the ground, and the white clothes fell out, stained with mud and dust. After hearing the word Zerg, Qin Xiang suddenly let go of the wooden basin, put her hands on both sides of her head, squatted on the ground, and trembled. Xianja, what's wrong with you? Yanqing was stunned and hurried over. He didn't know why Qin Xiang had such a big reaction after hearing these two words. Sister Qin Xiang, Wen Xiaobei shouted anxiously, and he also ran over anxiously. Dead, all dead. Qin Xiang muttered absent-mindedly, her pupils dimmed, and pictures flashed through her mind, causing intense pain. In the vast space, countless starships attacked each other, flames shot up into the sky, hundreds of extremely powerful creatures were constantly fighting, and planets were shattered in the collision, and a great destruction occurred. Kill the Protoss princess, and the Protoss will decline. This is our only chance. Bet on the future of the Zerg. Kill. 5 skyworms that covered the sky, and the sun roared, and the mountain-sized sickle feet fell, setting off a large blood rain, and the remains of corpses and bones flew. Damn Zerg. 3 creatures with infinite light all over their bodies fought fiercely with the 5 skyworms, shattering this starfield, and the universe was trembling. Protect the princess. Many people burned their lives, tried their best to improve their combat power, and used their bodies to face the self-explosion head-on, blocking the crazy attack of the Zerg. No, Your Highness Queen of Gods, the shield of Atlan godship can't hold up. Your Highness Queen of Gods, His Highness King Mingayu, sacrificed himself and opened a way. Please go with the princess and return to the divine realm. No, I want to stay here. It's my responsibility that this has ended. I must stay and fight with the soldiers to the end. Your Highness Queen of Gods, don't burn your life. No. My daughter Sasha, I'm sorry, it's all your fault. As soon as you were born, you suffered such danger. In the future, no matter what kind of suffering you encounter, you must live strong. A gentle female voice sounded, containing fatigue, and conveyed to the deepest part of Qin Xiang's heart. Mom, Qin Xiang muttered, and 2 lines of tears flowed down her face. Xianja. Yanqing looked at Qin Xiang like this, and felt very distressed. He suddenly hugged Qin Xiang, and the two of them pressed tightly together. Wen Xiaobei's eyes widened, and he slowly backed away. His grandfather had told him that, if a man and a woman hugged each other, they should leave immediately. I'm here, don't be afraid, I'll protect you, I'll take care of everything. Yanqing's voice was very gentle, and his hands gently patted her back. His voice gradually overlapped with a female voice in her memory, and Qin Xiang's consciousness began to clear up, and she came back to her senses. Thank you, Yanqing. Qin Xiang's face flushed with 2 blushes. She came out of Yanqing's arms. She realized that it was Yanqing who woke her up just now. Xianja, what's wrong with you? When you heard the word Zerg, you actually had such a big reaction? Yanqing said worriedly. It's okay, I'm fine. I just remembered something from the past. Qin Xiang forced a smile and said softly. Is that so? Yanqing was silent. Qin Xiang was obviously unwilling to tell him that she mentioned her mother just now. Could it be that her mother was killed by the Zerg? Buzz buzz buzz. The alarm broke the silence of the ice palace and interrupted Yanqing's thoughts. Yanqing, let's go. The insect swarm is coming soon. There are still 200 miles to go. Leng Yi's voice echoed over the station. So fast. Yanqing was surprised. The insect swarm was only 500 miles away, but now it has traveled half of the distance. The speed of movement is very fast. There is no time. We must leave here. Is there anything to take? Yanqing asked. Nothing to take. As long as I can follow brother Yan, it's fine. Wen Xiaobei said to Yanqing. No. Qin Xiang replied in a low voice. She has not yet gotten rid of the sad memories. Well, let's go together now. Yanqing smiled, stretched out his hand, and touched Qin Xiang's head to calm her down. He took Wen Xiaobei and Qin Xiang to the location where Leng Yi was. It is expected that the insect swarm will pass through almost all places on the entire long geostar. No living creature can avoid the insect swarm, and will eventually become food for the insects. Is there no place to hide? Yanqing was about to despair. Sir, there is no need to take us with you. We are just a bunch of burdens. You take the starship and leave this planet. Chenzi and a group of warriors knelt in front of Leng Yi. Please leave, young palace master and young palace master's friends. They shouted with full of passion and fearlessness. A bunch of idiots. Leng Yi said these 4 words abruptly, which made the bodies of the warriors freeze and their passion cool. Do you think I can leave on a starship? It's a joke. There are probably Zerg legions monitoring this planet. No one can escape. Can I live by leaving you behind? Impossible. Besides, I'm the young palace master of the Ice Palace. Naturally, I will live and die with you. Our Ice Palace has never sacrificed its subordinates to fulfill its own scum. If you want to die, I will die first. You all get out of here. Leng Yi said coldly. Young palace master, Chenzi, Yanqing and others' eyes were red. In fact, there is still a place to go. Yanqing stood beside Leng Yi and smiled. Where? Yanqing was stunned. Of course, it is the place that the Zerg has destroyed. The Zerg will not set foot there again, because there is no life there. Leng Yi spoke slowly, igniting hope in the hearts of the warriors. Chapter 140. It's so great that I can meet you. Lord Jess, the first batch of insect soldiers have obtained nutrients and are heading here. The other insect soldiers, led by Moni, are harvesting life on this continent. It is expected that the second batch will arrive in 20 minutes. The snake-shaped insect landed on Shaoyang Mountain and reported the news to Jess. Very good, the insect pool will be built soon. Lord Gil must be waiting impatiently at the border of the Swan Star region. Jess lay at the entrance of the cave, guarding the insect pool. But another 6-winged sky insect flew over. It was the one that had been chatting with the snake-shaped insect before. Lord Jess, how is the immortal in this insect pool? Has it been melted? The 6-winged sky insect asked. Although they are all bound, they have not melted yet. After all, the swallowing power of the insect pool is still very weak now. Jess said lightly. Will this not cause problems? You know, there is a quasi-saint and 11 immortals in here. Once the holy banner of the insect pond is broken, if Lord Gil cannot arrive, the result will be very bad. Seren, are you doubting my ability to do things? Jess said coldly with a red light flashing in his eyes. I dare not. Seren's heart trembled. He bowed down and saluted respectfully to Jess. I'm here and can suppress everything. Even if someone wakes up, I will make him faint again. This insect pool is the medium for summoning Lord Gil's mother nest, and it is also the place to replenish nutrients for the mother nest. I will naturally be extremely careful. The immortals inside are not to be feared, and that quasi-saint was put under an insect curse by Lord Gil 3 years ago. Now he is controlled by me as a puppet, and will not resist. When entering the insect pool, the immortals found out that they were deceived, but they had a good fight with this human quasi-saint. The scene was really interesting. Jace spoke, letting Seren calm his mind. Next, the only thing we have to do is wait. Oh, by the way, there are 3 very interesting human guys on this planet. Remember to find them, it will be fun. Lord Jace, are those 3 people worthy of your attention? Asked the snake-shaped insect. Those 3 people are not in the immortal realm, but they all have combat power far beyond their realm, and can cross a large level to kill the enemy. They united and killed Jenny. They should not be underestimated. What? Jenny is dead? Seren was shocked, and then he was angry. Jenny was his good friend, and they were also 6-winged celestial insects. They cherished each other. He really couldn't imagine that Jenny was killed by 3 little ghosts in the mortal realm. I understand. I will use the insect soldiers to turn them out, and then I will definitely hand them over to Lord Jace for disposal. Seren stood up and was about to leave. That's not necessary. The sky is blocked by the terrifying Gulu himself. They are hiding on Long Geostar and can't go anywhere. When the time comes, I can take action myself. There is no need to waste troops for these 3 little guys and delay the construction of the insect pool. Yes, Lord Jess. Yanqing Lengai, with a group of warriors, detoured to the back of the insect tide and came to a desolate lifeless mountain. The mountains are continuous and the rocks are rugged, which can hide traces. It is the most suitable place to stay. Guzang also woke up at this time, but his body was still very weak. He lay on the burden and was carried by 2 Ice Palace warriors. The atmosphere of this team of 300 people was very heavy. They deeply understood the horror of the Zerg through the scenes of the broken earth and the extinction of living beings they saw along the way. Such a terrible enemy, can they survive? Even Yanqing and Lengai were confused. As long as the insect commander took action, no matter where they hid, as long as they were still on Long Geostar, they could find them within a few seconds. After returning from Tailing Mountain, it was already 3 or 4 in the afternoon. When we came to this mountain again, it was already 7 o'clock. The sky gradually darkened, and the light disappeared. Someone took out a portable pot and cooked a dinner, but everyone had a poor appetite and couldn't eat. They didn't know if they could see tomorrow or survive. The sky was dotted with stars. Yanqing sat on a big rock, sweeping his mental power in all directions to guard. If a large number of Zerg approached, he had to wake everyone up as soon as possible and couldn't relax. The trial road chosen by Master and Uncle is really difficult. This situation is already beyond my ability to cope with. I don't know if I can return to Earth. Yanqing thought silently, feeling very depressed. Are you tired? A gentle female voice sounded behind Yanqing. Not tired, but Xianja, it's so late. Why don't you go to bed? Yanqing said quietly without looking back. From just now, he felt that Qin Xiang had been standing behind him. I couldn't sleep, so I went out for a walk. Qin Xiang sat down next to Yanqing, curled up and hugged her knees. It was a little cold at night, and the air was cold and frosty. Yanqing took off his coat and put it on Qin Xiang. Thank you. Qin Xiang whispered. Why are you saying thank you? Don't be so strange. Didn't you ask me to call you Xianja? Yanqing looked at the starry sky and said leisurely. Well. The 2 of them were silent for a long time, immersed in the silence of the night. Qin Xiang was inexplicably happy. If she could stay by Yanqing's side like this, how nice it would be. Xianja, I've been thinking about a problem. Yanqing closed his eyes. What's the problem? Is it right or wrong for me to bring you to Dragonhorn Star? If you and Xiaobai had stayed in the City of Light, you wouldn't have felt the despair today and faced the danger of being killed by the Zerg. There is no right or wrong. Qin Xiang interrupted Yanqing's words, and a white hand touched Yanqing's cheek, saying softly, the period after leaving the City of Light was my happiest time. Even on Dragonhorn Star, facing the danger of life and death, it was the same. I have never regretted it. I'm very happy to live such a life. So, even if I die, I have no regrets. Qin Xiang's face was close to Yanqing's cheek, and the 2 could feel each other's heartbeat and breathing. Don't talk nonsense. How could you die? I will definitely protect you well. If you want to kill you, you have to step over my body. Yanqing said seriously. He made such a decision not because Qin Xiang might be Athena with a small universe, but because Qin Xiang was someone he cherished. Qin Xiang raised her head, kissed Yanqing's cheek gently, and smiled. You said something cool again, but I'm so glad to meet you. Chapter 141. Casting of Sacred Objects. Subscription request. PS. There will be a second update around midnight, a third update around 2 o'clock, and a fourth update tomorrow. Qin Xiang kissed Yanqing on the cheek, only lightly, and then separated with a light touch. She lowered her head shyly, and her heart seemed to be beating like a deer. It is my luck to meet you. Yanqing rubbed Qin Xiang's purple hair, and the wetness on her cheek made him feel a little complicated. He didn't know when the relationship between him and Qin Xiang became closer. He knew that, if he continued like this, he would be really sorry for Fengling. He didn't hate Qin Xiang. On the contrary, he liked her a little bit, not only because they both had the power of the small universe, but also because Qin Xiang was so kind that it made people feel distressed. In order to save others, she didn't care about herself at all. He had cruelly rejected Qin Ziyang last time and hurt Qin Ziyang. This time, facing Qin Ziyang who said I want to be your strength and only want to stay by your side, Yanqing couldn't say no again. Think about it later. It's not certain whether we can survive now. Let's talk about it after the crisis of Lang Geostar is resolved. Yanqing sighed and calmed down. Tap, tap, tap. In the silent night, Leng Yi walked out of the stationing point, and the footsteps were clearly audible. He came to exchange shifts with Yanqing. You two go to rest, I'll be on guard. Leng Yi spoke, and he walked directly to a rock, sat down cross-legged, closed his eyes, and a cool spiritual power like water spread out, covering a radius of 10 miles, to detect the movements of the Zerg. Let's go. Yanqing glanced at Leng Yi, and took Qin Ziyang back to the stationing point. In terms of seriousness, there is no one more reliable than Leng Yi. With Leng Yi on guard, he can rest assured for a while and return to the Holy Land in the Sea of Consciousness. Make special items. The situation has become extremely dangerous. The strength of the insect commander is comparable to that of a saint. Yanqing is very clear about the combat power of a saint. On Cheyenne-Fu Star, when the four saints resisted the heavenly calamity, he saw the horror of the saints. A full strength attack is enough to destroy a planet. Moving at the speed of light, it can reach any place on the planet in an instant. He must increase his strength as much as possible, otherwise there will be no hope for this battle. Just like the deep darkness, without light, it will only make people feel suffocated and desperate. His fourth level of the transcendent realm has not yet reached perfection. Only after another battle can he complete the last polishing, and enter the fifth level of the transcendent realm. In this case, the only thing he can do is to rely on the 3 new functions of the system, but there is only the special item creation function. He can use it. Talent transformation is useless for the current extremely bad situation, and the casting of the holy clothes takes a long time. Besides, he already has the Pegasus holy cloth, which is also a bronze holy clothes. One more. It is not very useful. Stepping into the western palace of the Holy Land, Yanqing clicked on the special item creation function. Looking at the transparent objects floating in the golden light, he fell into deep thought. According to what the system said, with his current cultivation, he can only make the Royal Magic Palace Rose, Ice Crystal and Taurus Wristband. These special items are a one-time consumption. With the recovery speed of his small universe, he should be able to make 4 items before dawn. The choice must be cautious. Not only individual killing, but also group killing must be considered. After all, there are too many insects, and the insect seed tactics are terrible. Ice Crystal, Yanqing has used it. If he uses all his current small universe to make it, the power can probably threaten the immortals of the third realm, and can also kill a large number of insects. Taurus Wristband, which can enhance its own strength 10 times, makes Yanqing very excited. With the Lin word mantra, it can add a full 100 times the strength. With one blow, it is estimated that it can directly kill the third immortal and seriously injure the fourth immortal. If the Baocean Seal is used at that moment, the power is even more terrifying, and it is possible to sink 1/10 of the continent. The Royal Magic Palace Rose has a blood-sucking function, and the pollen and fragrance are highly toxic. Even immortals cannot resist this terrible toxin, fall into hallucinations, and die. It can be placed within a certain range. The larger the range, the lighter the fragrance and the weaker the power. The smaller the range, the stronger the power. This kind of auxiliary item is indispensable. A pair of Taurus wristbands, an ice crystal, and 2 Royal Magic Palace roses. Yanqing made a decision, and reached out to hold the Taurus wristband. The light of the Taurus Palace on the palace was projected down, and fell on the Taurus wristband. Yanqing's energy rushed into the Taurus wristband frantically, making it from transparent to solid. The manufacture of this Taurus wristband requires all the energy of the third level of the transcendent realm. After a few minutes, 2/3 of the energy in Yanqing's body was exhausted, but at this time, the Taurus wristband was also successfully manufactured, and a pair of simple wristbands with complex and mysterious patterns fell into Yanqing's hands. Ding. With a flash of golden light, the pair of wristbands were worn on Yanqing's wrists, and a warm current spread to all parts of Yanqing's body, increasing his strength. Even without using this pair of wristbands, it can still increase my strength by 30%. It's really a magical item. Yanqing sat down, recovered his energy, and repeated the manufacturing process to obtain another pair of Taurus wristbands, a delicate and translucent ice crystal, and a bright red royal magic palace rose. Yanqing put all 3 items in the space ring to deal with emergencies at any time. The sky was faintly turning pale, and Yanqing walked out of the tent, stretched his waist, and moved his body. He was really tired after a busy night in the sea of consciousness. Sitting cross-legged on the stone in the cold night, his clothes were covered with frost, and the cold air surrounded him. He was also working hard to practice and enhance his own strength. Guzang also got up early in the morning. After Yanqing's microcosmic treatment and a night's rest, he had fully recovered, and was full of energy. Under the leadership of Guqing and Chenzi, the warriors of the Ice Palace were doing various exercises. Under the pressure of death, everyone was practicing themselves desperately, and did not dare to slack off. Yanqing and Guzhan walked to Leng Yi's side, and discussed the next action. Confronting the Zerg head-on is absolutely a suicidal act. Not to mention other things, just a few 100,000 of the 4 million Zerg soldiers would be enough to kill all of them. Sooner or later, the Saints of the Swan Star region would discover the abnormality of Langjio Star, and all they have to do is hide until that moment comes. This is the only way. In Shaoyang Mountain, 3,000 miles away, the cave that was originally full of auspicious auras and rosy clouds has completely changed. It is dirty, disgusting, and has a very heavy smell of blood. Deep in the cave, a wide pool is filled with liquids of various colors, bubbling, and from time to time, Zerg soldiers pour liquid into the pool. In the center of the pool, more than a dozen immortals are floating on the water, unconscious, their bodies slowly melted by unknown liquids, and the pool is flashing with strange blood. It's finally done. Jace's compound eyes were filled with extreme excitement. He could summon Lord Gil soon, build the mother nest, and take the entire Dragon Horn Star into his hands. To be continued, Chapter 142. Who is the winner? Subscription request. Boom. The insect pool was boiling, and liquids of various colors began to merge rapidly, and finally turned into blood-colored liquid. Like blood, the immortal body lying in the center of the insect pool slowly sank and melted. Lord Jess, the process is much smoother than we thought. It's really gratifying. The snake-shaped insect's tail stretched and retracted, and laughed. This planet has abundant vitality. The nutrients harvested by the insect soldiers are very fresh. The completion of the insect pool ahead of schedule is also within my expectations. Jess said with satisfaction. The insect pool has been built. Do you want to carve the insect array and summon Lord Gil now? Saren asked. Well, there is no time to waste. You go and prepare the medium, and then guard this place. Don't let any creatures disturb it. I will personally preside over the insect array and determine the coordinates. Now is the most critical moment and there is no room for error. Jess said in a deep voice. And pass the situation here to the mother nest so that they can cooperate with the summoning. Yes, Lord Jess, we will report to the mother nest through a Lord Gulu in the sky, and then I will collect the media, and the insect soldiers will be deployed here by Saren, and those who approach will be killed on the spot. After discussing with Saren, the snake-shaped insect said respectfully to Jess. At the border of the Swan Star region, a huge object tens of thousands of meters high, and shaped like a disc floated in space. This is the mother nest of the Zerg. The mother nest is a very special life form that can breed thousands of Zerg. The space inside is large enough to accommodate tens of millions of Zerg soldiers. The mother nest can also be used as a warship. It is extremely powerful and can destroy a planet with a full strength attack. At this time, deep in this mother nest, there is a magnificent and simple hall. On the hall, hundreds of powerful insects gathered here. They were in charge of military intelligence, logistics, and the management of the mother nest. Although they were busy, they did not make any mistakes, and worked very efficiently. They were obviously well trained. On the throne high up in the hall, there was a humanoid man who unfolded a holographic map, and observed the situation of each of the major stars in the Swan Star region. There were mysterious stars surrounding his eyes, and wisps of purple mist surrounded his body, exuding an extremely powerful aura that was enough to crush everything. Lord Gil, there is a battle report from the Dragon Horn Star. a skyworm suddenly flew in from outside the hall and landed in the center of the hall. The worm had an excited look in its eyes, which attracted the attention of many worms in the hall. Ridicule did not look up, still looking at the holographic map of the Swan Star region. Lord Jess has successfully completed the mission. All the immortals on the Dragon Horn Star have been melted into the insect pool. The insect tide is led by Lord Moni, which has taken away half of the vitality of the Dragon Horn Star and harvested enough nutrients. The insect pool has also been completed. Lord Jess is preparing the medium. Through the insect array, you will be summoned over. Yanqing said excitedly. This is great news. Lord Jess, the mission has never failed. This time is the same, and you have made great contributions. It is not only Lord Jess's credit. Lord Gil is as wise as the abyss and has foresight. The two of them cooperate with each other, and naturally they can win the battle and push all the way. This front of our insect race will be established soon. His Royal Highness the Third Prince will definitely be very happy. He does not ask for any generous rewards. If our legion is upgraded to another level and expanded, then Lord Gil can also become a 4th class insect commander. The insects in the hall stopped their work in disgust, and the mood was hot. Gil was very calm. He had known this result for a long time. He had been planning this since he captured Wu Liang and set up the insect curse in this starfield 3 years ago. This result, of course, did not surprise him at all. His eyes have been set on other big stars in the Swan Starfield. After building the mother nest on the Dragon Horn Star, the next thing he will face will be the saints of mankind. How can he hold on until the arrival of the other Zerg legions, and how to contain the strong men of the human race through various means? This is what he has to consider. All the media, such as the void crystals that can be teleported, the blood essence of hundreds of thousands of people, the golden wires that do not limit the output of energy, and other items, have been prepared. Jace concentrated on drawing the insect array with blood essence. One by one, the void crystals fluctuated in the void. Once the insect array was activated, and the energy was running, and reached the maximum, the void crystals could summon Lord Gil, who was far away at the border of the starfield, and at the same time build a mother nest on the Dragon Horn Star. More than an hour later, Jace finally finished drawing. The extremely complex insect array had a law-based aura fluctuation. He relaxed his mind. At this point, he only needed to stabilize the void crystals to summon Lord Gil. Void crystals returned to their positions. Under Jace's manipulation, the 3 void crystals were suspended at the nodes of the insect array. The blood-like liquid in the insect pool was drawn out by the insect array and filled into the grooves of the insect array to provide energy. Start summoning. Jace opened his mouth and spit out a thick beam of light, which fell on the 3 void crystals of the insect array and started it. A faint light appeared above the insect pool, forming a hexagram pattern. Boom. The space shook violently and continued to break. The entire continent of Langjiao also trembled, as if there was an earthquake. The light became more and more intense and brighter. At the border of the starfield, a hexagram pattern also appeared in the hall of the mother nest. Gil stood up, walked over slowly, stood in the light, and waited for transmission. Ha, keep this energy output, and you will succeed in another 10 minutes. Jace laughed and waved his 2 sickle legs excitedly. He was immersed in success and did not notice that the water level in the insect pool dropped and a body as strong as steel and iron was exposed, which was not melted by the insect pool. Sizzle. The space was destroyed. Between heaven and earth, the wind and clouds changed color, thunder rolled, and strange phenomena appeared. Jace tried his best to maintain the output of energy. All his energy was put on this. And Saren and the snake-shaped insects who were guarding outside were also paying attention to the 6-pointed star insect formation in the sky while guarding, and they did not notice that someone in the insect pool moved. He sat up all of a sudden. He had a strong and powerful body, about 2 meters tall, and his eyes were red when he looked at Jace. He was Wu Liang. On Xiangsu and Star, Lan, who was meditating in the ice palace, suddenly felt a palpitation. He looked in the direction of Langjiao Star, and a sad expression appeared on his cold face. My dear friend, are you leaving too? We have been planning for 3 years, and the trap we set is finally starting to work. Unfortunately, no matter what the plan is, the implementation will not be successful. The price of victory this time is your life. To be continued. PS. There is one more update. It seems to be 3 o'clock. I will go to bed at 12 after updating this chapter. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, Counterattack Gil, First Order. Wood Kid, whether you can kill Gil depends on you. An old man seemed to sense something, and his hand stroking his beard stopped, closed the book in his hand, sighed, turned into a stream of light, and flew into the sky. 3 years of preparation. This moment has finally come. I'll leave the coordinates to you, Wood Kid. The middle-aged man in white clothes walking in space changed his expression, and his tone was full of emotion. His speed suddenly reached the speed of light, and flew to the border of the starfield. The burly and majestic Wu Liang's eyes were red, with anger, hatred, guilt, pain, but more of forbearance. He squatted down silently, immersed in the blood-colored liquid of the insect pool, hid his tracks, and swam towards the direction where Jace was. The hexagram insect array continued to shine, and purple lightning intertwined in the sky, and thunder rolled down, as if facing the end of the world, and the dragon horn star was about to be destroyed. A shadow of a person appeared in the center of the hexagram insect formation, exuding an aura that made the world succumb to him. This was the void crystal connecting the two ends of the space, allowing the projection of Gil at the border of the starfield to come here. In a few minutes, the space connected by the void crystal will stabilize. At that time, Gil will truly cross thousands of light years and enter the dragon horn star, turning the entire planet into nutrients for the mother nest. Jess tried hard to maintain energy output. In such a short time, he must not let down the chain. What's going on? The sky and the earth have changed color. Yanqing looked at the sky where lightning danced wildly, like a calamity, and was shocked. He felt an extremely terrible pressure coming from a long distance, and his soul was trembling. This is space transmission. Could it be that the Zerg wants to send some big shot here? Is it a Zerg commander? Guzang murmured, with a very worried look on his face. It should be a Zerg commander at the same level as a Saint. What a strong pressure. Leng Yi analyzed. His mental power was delicate. He could feel a lot of things. The insect commander. The three of them were silent. The situation was extremely critical. Should they stay here any longer? We can't just sit and wait for death. Once the insect commander arrives on this planet, we will all die. Why not try our best now and see if we can stop this space transmission? Yanqing spoke first. Yes, if we want to go and see, it's just the three of us. More people would be a burden. Leng Yi and Gu nodded in approval. The three of them boarded the starship and set off quickly. They had to stop everything as much as possible. Even if they failed, the insect commander would succeed in coming, and they would just die earlier. 3 minutes left. Jess calculated the time. It was a heavy burden for him to maintain this high energy, but there were no enemies here. There was nothing to worry about. He didn't know that behind him, in a pool of insects, a figure was lurking, staring at the changes in the insect formation. 2 minutes left. Wu Liang sank into the blood-colored liquid, muttering silently. Ever since he was refined into a puppet, he had been waiting for this moment. Waiting for the time to kill Jezgula. 3 years ago, he went to the Aquarius starfield to visit a friend. But on the way, he was attacked by Gil. He was cursed by the insects, and his life was worse than death, and he was tortured. This insect curse has the function of controlling people's hearts and taming the recipient, which is very terrible. Therefore, 3 years ago, Wu Liang, who had a tenacious fighting spirit, kept resisting the insect curse and almost became schizophrenic, forming two personalities. Fortunately, he rushed to the ice palace. He asked land for help, practiced the ice transformation technique, suppressed all emotions, and the situation stabilized, but it was still getting worse, and he only had a few years to live. After the Ice Palace knew that there were Zergs at the border of the Swan Star region, it immediately entered a state of combat readiness, but after searching the Star Sea belt between the Aquarius and Swan Star regions many times, no traces of the Zerg were found. Wu Liang had heard that Gil of the Zerg was very intelligent and was a rare wise man among the Zerg generals. This Gil must have some plans for the Swan Star region. If Gil could be killed, it would definitely be a big blow to the Zerg. After a period of consideration, he advised the Twice Palace Saints to give up Lang Geostar, and then he would rule the planet, set a trap, lure Gil to take action, and then kill Gil. Gil would never dare to appear in the Swan Star region, otherwise he would be directly wiped out by the Twice Palace Saints. Only by relying on a planet and building a mother nest can he build a Zerg base and resist the attack of the Saints. Therefore, Gil must control Lang Geostar. As long as the insect pool is established, the hexagram array can be activated to summon Gil, and even part of the mother nest can enter Lang Geostar. Through this array, the coordinates of Gil's location can be determined, and then the Saints in the Swan Star region can be notified to rush to the coordinates and kill Gil. This is Wu Liang's plan. In order to stay awake and deceive Gil and his people, he split himself into two personalities. The personality eroded by the insect curse is usually manifested, while the conscious main personality is always asleep because of the lack of mental power. In this way, he was soon trained as a puppet by Jace and did many wrong things. He also practiced the method of connecting the mind and spirit, a terrible secret method that can quickly communicate within a starfield thousands of light years in radius, almost instant communication. Such a plan sounds foolproof, but unfortunately, it is not always so perfect when it is actually implemented, and many problems have occurred. His approach directly sacrificed half of the people on Lang Geostar and more than 10 immortals. Wu Liang was very regretful. If he could wake up earlier, perhaps the result would change and become better. Now the only thing he can do is to stop Gula, kill Jess, and atone for his sins. There are 5 seconds left. The figure in the insect array is completely staring, only the face is still very blurry. Now, Wu Liang jumped out of the insect pool, wielding his strongest fist, the Holy Fist of the Heavens, and hit Jess heavily, and the Yuan gang exploded. Puff. Green blood was thrown. Impossible, this quasi-saint puppet has been melted. How can it appear here? Jess vomited blood and flew backwards, with a puzzled and horrified expression. Wu Liang threw dozens of punches again, landing on this hexagram insect array. Without the output of energy, coupled with the destructive power of the quasi-saint level, the light of the insect array suddenly dimmed, and the space connected by the void crystal was trembling, which was very unstable. Wu Liang, Gula, who was very calm, suddenly felt something was wrong. It seemed that his perfect plan had a loophole, and it was the kind of loophole that was out of control and would cause the entire plan to collapse. Gula, don't think you can control everything in your hands. I, Wu Liang, am a human and will not be controlled by you. I have seen through your tricks long ago. Great teleportation treasure technique, taboo technique, 5 times power enhancement, Holy Fist of the Heavens. Wu Liang swung his fists and hit Gula hard across the space. The great teleportation technique is a trick that borrows the power of space to cause damage to the enemy. Under the 5-fold power enhancement, Gula at the other end was caught off guard and was also injured by Wu Liang and directly crashed through the hall of the mother nest. Bang! The insect array shattered, Gil's projection disappeared, and Jace was so angry that he vomited blood. He didn't expect that in the end, he would be ambushed by an uncontrollable puppet and failed. When Gil swung his fist, he felt the coordinates of Gil's location and used the power of mind connection to pass Gil's coordinates to the Twice Palace Saints on the border. This was the best time to kill Gil. Wu Liang felt dizzy and weak. He knew that he didn't have much time. In a few minutes, his main personality would fade away, and he would turn into a puppet again and be tortured to death by Jace. So, what he wanted to do most now was to die with Jace. Use his own life to atone for his sins. To be continued. P.S. Take a nap first and continue to update when I get up. There are 4 more updates today. Chapter 144. Joining the war. P.S. Thanks to Wu Li-jun, Wu Liang's reward. Please subscribe. Please reward. All kinds of requests, damn humans. They actually destroyed our Zerg's great plan. Jace roared angrily, stood up from the broken rock ruins, stepped on the ground with 6 legs, causing a great vibration, and the bone spurs on the 3 pairs of wings stood up, shining with a strange bloodlight kill. Jace shouted and attacked. and his 2 sickle feet seemed to be sharp and unmatched divine weapons, cutting several large cracks in the void. You are just a 5th class insect general, and you dare to talk big. I don't know how many people like you I have killed on the battlefield. Wu Liang sneered, and the misty heavenly rhyme flowed. While speaking, he sublimated his combat power to the extreme and raised it to the peak. Boom. Wu Liang and Jace had a big collision, and they exchanged thousands of moves in an instant. The fierce conflict shook the sky, and the laws roared and rumbled. Bang! Wu Liang swung the holy fist to the heavens, and his burly body, like cast iron, shone with black light. He opened and closed his fists wildly, and the aura of a quasi-saint was fully displayed at this moment. Jace couldn't help but be horrified. Is this still the puppet he controlled before? It turned out to be so powerful. He retreated step by step, and blood was gushing out of his body. 9 steps to the sky. Wu Liang stepped forward at a very fast speed, turning into 9 different figures, surrounding Jace to attack and kill. Each figure was real. Jace was exhausted, and was forced in front of him by one of the figures. He grabbed one of his wings, and tore it hard. Sizzle. Ah. Jace screamed in pain, his bloody body twitched, and he almost fell from the air. Looking at Wu Liang, his eyes were full of fear. This was definitely not an ordinary quasi-saint. You know, it is also a leader among the 5-level insect generals, but it has no power to fight back in the battle with Wu Liang. Could it be that he has almost taken the step to become a saint? Wu Liang looked cold, holding a 10-meter long insect wing, standing in the air. If it weren't for Gil's insect curse, he would have become a saint 3 years ago. Although he only has the cultivation of a quasi-saint, he has the perception of a saint. Wu Liang narrowed his eyes, looking for Jace's flaws. If he were in his prime, there are more than 100 ways to kill this skyworm from beginning to end, but now he has little time to wake up, and there are only a few ways to deal with Jace. Lord Jace. The snake-shaped insect and Seren looked at the 2 people fighting in the air in disbelief. The situation changed too quickly. They were just immersed in the excitement of Gil's arrival and controlling the dragon horn star, but the next second, the 6-pointed star insect formation was broken, and the dream of the Zerg to establish a battle line was shattered by the human quasi-saint in front of them. Lord Jace also had a wing torn off by him and was seriously injured. How could this happen? Seren opened his mouth ferociously, his fangs were sharp. He didn't believe this result. Lord Jace is in danger, we must go forward to help. The snake-shaped insect was very rational, and issued an order with its tail. The insect soldiers all over the mountains moved together, and attacked Wu Liang. Seren and the snake-shaped insect also rushed into the sky, fighting with Jace. Hiss. Acid flew and the giant insect exhaled. Lights of various colors covered the sky and attacked Wu Liang. With the protection of the snake-shaped insect and Seren, Jace finally escaped from danger. Wu Liang's eyes swept, and the laws fluctuated, instantly erasing all the tricks. He couldn't help but frowned. 2 third-class insect generals, and 1 million insect soldiers, although they were weak, were very troublesome to deal with, and would take a lot of time. Not enough time. Wu Liang whispered, clenching his fists. Could it be that Jace couldn't be killed today? Whoosh. At this moment, a starship came from the horizon, and inside it were Yanqing, Leng Yi, and Gu Chang. When they were rapidly approaching Shaoyang Mountain, they found that the suffocating pressure suddenly disappeared. At the same time, waves of energy fluctuations came from the direction of Shaoyang Mountain, as if a war had taken place. Yanqing and the other 2 were very confused about this. Now that they came to Shaoyang Mountain, they finally understood what had happened. It turned out that Wu Liang did it. He stopped the insect commander from coming. Leng Yi stared at the battle on Shaoyang Mountain and analyzed the situation here accurately. Wu Liang? Yanqing was shocked to see the man facing millions of insect soldiers and generals in the air alone, and a sense of respect surged out. Although Wu Liang was ambitious, his behavior of stopping the insect commander and saving the lives of the dragon horn star at this moment was enough to make anyone respect him. It seems that Wu Liang has encountered a lot of trouble. Let's go and fight too, Gu Zhangdao said. He jumped out of the skylight first, followed by Yanqing. Leng Yi saw that there were dense insects on the ground and knew that the starship could not land, so he simply gave up the starship and jumped out. The three of them broke through the speed of sound and approached the battlefield. "It's those three little ghosts." Jess was surprised. Wu Liang showed his delight. From the past memories in his mind, he knew that the disciples of these three major forces could go against the flow to attack the immortals, which was definitely a great help. He spoke to Yanqing and the others. His voice was like a bell. "My two nephews, my friends from Le Palace, I will kill this skyworm, and you deal with the other two insect generals. How about it?" "Okay, Uncle Wu," Leng Yi responded. He turned his head and said to Yanqing, "Then I'll leave the snake-shaped insect to you, and the other one will be left to me and Guchang." "Understood." Yanqing's body bent, and his speed increased again, leaving a trail of after images. In a moment of disillusionment, he came in front of the snake-shaped insect and punched it with a Pegasus meteor fist. Star ice flowers danced one after another. Leng Yi stretched out his hands elegantly, as if dancing. The air was frozen and fell on Seiran's body, condensing into a thick layer of ice crystals. Midnight walls. Guchang played the silver harp, and the invisible sound waves acted directly on the spirit, assisting Leng Yi. Most of the insects below were no longer under the command of the snake-shaped insects, and their acid breath shot out randomly, posing no threat to Wu Liang. These three little devils. Jay gnashed his teeth in hatred. The arrival of Yanqing and the other two turned the tide of the battle. His only hope now was to hold on until the arrival of Gulu, the 5th class insect general from outer space. Gulu was Gil's younger brother, and he had gone far on the road to becoming a saint, enough to solve his life crisis. "Kill!" Wu Liang roared, and his fist was so powerful that it hit Jace like a mountain. His tremendous momentum burst out, and the laws were mobilized. Black divine chains emerged, like dragons swimming in the void, locking Jace. Possession by the divine form. Jace used his divine form to shrink his body, becoming more flexible, and increasing his strength and speed to the maximum. The black divine chain that locked him broke inch by inch, and he rushed forward to fight Wu Liang in the ultimate showdown. Boom. A brilliant light burst out, like brilliant fireworks, and in the beauty, there was an infinite killing intent released. To be continued. Chapter 145 Blood Sacrifice My Body. The full-scale confrontation between a quasi-saint and a 5th class insect general was extremely terrifying. The aftermath of the energy impacted hundreds of miles away, even thousands of miles away. The tremors of the earth could be felt. On the other side of the planet, a four-legged, two-winged insect shaped like a lion anxiously drove 3 million insect soldiers to rush towards the direction of Shaoyang Mountain. What happened to Lord Jess? Lord Gil's breath disappeared just now, and now there is a violent energy fluctuation. It seems that a human strongman is attacking. The lion-shaped insect pondered. In the mother nest at the border of the Swan Star region, Gil sat gloomily in the hall, his heart filled with anger. At the last moment, when he was about to succeed, he was actually overturned, and his physical body was injured by a small human quasi-saint in the air, which made him extremely frustrated. "Lord Gil, why don't we kill over and occupy the Dragon Horn Star directly?" a powerful insect suggested. "Not good. The saints of the Ice Palace are nearby. Their insightful eyes can monitor the entire starfield. In space, all the space nodes are connected to each other. They can jump in front of us at any time. Don't act rashly." Gil sighed, and then said, "Wu Liang actually split into two personalities, and he has been forbearing to this point, and finally exploded, which is really beyond my imagination. But 1/3 of the army's troops are still on the Dragon Horn Star, with Gulu and Jess, two 5th class insect generals. That person can't survive, even if he can jump around. Get rid of him, and open the 6-pointed star insect formation again." A staff-type insect considered. "Although I don't know how Wu Liang will deal with the Zerg army on the Dragon Horn Star, I know he must have a backup plan, enough to solve the crisis of the Dragon Horn Star. Even, not good." Gil's face changed, and he suddenly had a very bad guess. According to his intuition, the truth of this guess is as high as 90%. Notify the Mother Nest driving group. Hurry up and leave this place, make a hyperspace jump, and at the same time, let all troops prepare for battle, Gil ordered. Although Gil's subordinates didn't understand what Gil meant, they still carried out the order seriously. Just as the subordinates wanted to convey the order to their subordinates, the Mother Nest suddenly trembled, and the things on the table scattered all over the floor. Lord Gil, there are 2 human saints outside attacking us. A bug came in to report. Its words caused a cry of surprise from the strong Zerg in the hall. Sure enough, I underestimated Wu Liang. His target is us. Gil's face was ugly. He made a mistake again. If he could react earlier, he might be able to leave. Now there is no way. He can only fight back. Quickly take your position. Don't panic. There is a mother nest as a barrier. The 2 saints alone can't attack. Gil said loudly to reassure his subordinates. But in fact, he knew very well that the 2 saints in the Ice Palace were not ordinary saints. One was in the 3rd level of the Saint Realm. The other was almost breaking into the quasi-emperor level, and there was little hope of surviving this time. Wu Liang. Gil silently recited this name, and he, who always claimed to be a wise man, was defeated. He was completely defeated by Wu Liang. On Mount Shaoyang, the battle became more intense. It reached a fever pitch. Phoenix wings soar. The fire phoenix spread its wings and the flames burned, covering the sky. It was like a huge fire cloud. However, this snake-shaped insect was very cunning. It kept shuttling in the void to avoid the burning of the flames. Even the strong wind that could tear through the space only caused a little scratch to the insect. On the contrary, many parts of Yanqing's body were bleeding and slightly injured. The insect race was indeed very scary. Although they did not have the various magical powers of the human race, they specialized in strengthening their bodies, and their speed and strength were incredibly powerful. Only when the 2 character mantra of Lin and Dao continued to operate, Yanqing could only barely remain undefeated, which made him realize that he was still a long way from the strength of a triple immortal. On the other side, Guzang and Leng Yu were even more exhausted. In front of the 3rd class insect General Seiran, they were surrounded by dangers and even self-protection was a problem. However, with 2 people holding them back, they could hold on for a while. As for Jace and Wu Liang, no one could see the fight between the 2. They only saw 2 balls of light colliding at high speed in the sky, with red and green blood spilling from time to time. Puff! A ball of light suddenly faded, and Wu Liang's figure appeared. He coughed up blood, and seemed to be seriously injured. Ha ha ha, go to hell. Jace laughed. He didn't expect Wu Liang to reveal his flaws. He seized the opportunity and spit out a huge beam of light from his mouth. There were terrifying low energy fluctuations. The whole world seemed to have turned into a white expanse, and nothing existed. Wu Liang. Yanqing avoided the bite of the snake-shaped insect and shouted, "Little ghost, he is dead, and it's your turn next." Jace laughed wildly, turned around, and just as he was about to attack Yanqing, his figure suddenly stopped. "Who did you say was dead, garbage bug?" A domineering voice sounded, and a deep black hole slowly rotated in the direction where Wu Liang was originally. Impossible. How could he still survive with a blow that concentrated all my laws? Jace was shocked. With this move, you can't kill me, or even hurt me. Wu Liang's figure appeared behind the black hole. I don't have much time to wake up, so I can only sacrifice my divine form. This body will be useless in the future, so it's just right to use it now. Wu Liang whispered, with bloodstains on his chest. The divine form of the demon lord. Behind Wu Liang, a shadow of a demon god that covered the sky and the sun appeared and solidified, holding a tripod in both hands, stepping on a giant turtle, with a green face and fangs, and eyes like elixir. This is a human form of the demon god. Jace screamed. He had heard that among all the divine forms, the human form of the demon god was the most powerful, and had mysterious power. Boom. The demon god behind Wu Liang suddenly stretched out a hand, which kept getting bigger and grabbed Jace. Jace wanted to dodge, but found that he couldn't move, and was imprisoned in place. This is the saint's law that I have comprehended. You should experience it well. Wu Liang sneered. Although he kept coughing up blood, he had an inexplicable style. The demon grabbed Jace with his big hand, and threw him into the cauldron. Jace was scared. Was he going to be cooked? He wanted to escape, but he couldn't leave the cauldron, no matter how hard he tried. I bow to the heaven and earth, and sacrifice my body with blood. Wu Liang turned around, and bowed to the demon. The blood in his body spurted out from the wound and shot into the demon's mouth. Suddenly, black flames rose from the cauldron. One of Jace's wings was accidentally stained with the flame. The wing with full muscles and vitality withered, and lost its vitality. Jace was horrified. This flame could actually absorb life force. To be continued, chapter 146 Gone with the Wind. The demon god who stood tall and upright held the tripod in both hands, and the black flame gradually covered all the space in the tripod. Jace screamed. He felt that his life essence was quickly sucked away, his body shriveled and aged, and his cultivation level continued to decline. Second bow to the demon lord, sacrifice my soul. Wu Liang, who was pale and bloodless, bowed with difficulty. This time, his mental power was sucked away by the demon god, and several divine winds appeared in the ancient tripod. When the divine wind blew over Jace's body, Jace would twitch violently, and the light in his eyes dimmed. This kind of divine wind can weaken the soul until it is annihilated. For quasi-saints, they already have some of the power of saints, and their souls have undergone essential changes. Even if the physical body dies, the soul can be resurrected again, as long as it finds a suitable body. Wu Liang sacrificed his soul in exchange for the annihilation of Jace's soul. This is the law of saints, he realized exchange. However, because he was only a quasi-saint, he could not exchange the smallest price for the greatest benefit, so he could only exchange his life for Jace's life, and the two died together. No, I can't die here. Jace struggled, but his cultivation had fallen to the level of a third-class insect general. He couldn't break the cauldron's confinement at all. Jace was desperate. Lord Jace. Seiran shouted anxiously, and his 6 wings flew across the sky, getting rid of Lengyi and Guzang, and flew to where the demon god was. But Wu Liang didn't give Seiran a chance to get close. He flicked his finger, and the law ripples vibrated thousands of times, directly knocking Seiran out, cutting hundreds of blood marks on his huge body. Even a quasi-saint whose vitality was about to disappear was not something a third-class insect general could match. Silver music. Guzan plucked the strings, and the wave-like sound blade shot out. It fell on the wound on Seiran's body, deepening the scar. Ice drill field. Diamond-like ice crystals floated in the cold tornado. The air froze piece by piece. Lengyi and Guzan attacked Seiran. Previously, the two could only deal with Seiran. It was difficult to protect themselves. Now that Seiran was injured, the two of them were able to fight the 6-winged skyworm to a draw. The snake-shaped insect was very rational. He knew that Jace would not escape the fate of falling, and that the human quasi-saint would die soon. As long as he killed these 3 little ghosts, he would win. Snake tail cone. The snake-shaped insect shook its tail and shot out hundreds of cone-shaped sharp blades, faster than the speed of sound. Scorching sun fist. The sun's golden flame protected the body. The sharp blades were wiped out. Yanqing was not afraid, and rushed forward directly, to fight the snake-shaped insect in close combat. Fighting is indeed the best shortcut to practice. The insect moves very fast. Yanqing can only see the after image and capture the movement of the snake-shaped insect by fully activating the 6th sense. Because of this, Yanqing felt that the small universe of the 6th sense intermediate level that had not moved for a long time had finally improved. He vaguely touched the barrier of the 6th sense higher level. Bang! Yanqing's hands were numb. The snake-like insect's body was very tough. Even if it exploded with 10 times the energy and 10 times the strength, it couldn't move at all. The snake-like insect swung its tail fiercely. Yanqing waved his arms to block, but the power of this tail swing was too amazing, and he was directly whipped away. Both arms were broken and drooped. With the wounds on his body bleeding continuously, it looked shocking. Very miserable. Heavenly snake entanglement. The snake-like insect felt that it was time to kill Yanqing and use the divine form. Its body suddenly grew to 10 meters, and the snake body wrapped Yanqing in an instant. Heavenly snake entanglement, as the name suggests, is that the snake wraps its body around the prey and strangles the prey to death. This is a very primitive move, but it has wild animal instincts. This move is often simple and powerful. Creak. The body of the snake-like insect tightened, pressing on Yanqing's body, and the bones made a sound of breaking, and the bones all over his body were shattered. The sound of bones breaking is so pleasant. The snake-shaped insect was proud. Being able to kill a human genius with his own hands was a record worth boasting about. However, when it turned around, it found that, although Yanqing's mouth was bleeding, he still had a smile on his face. It felt a little bad. Could it be that Yanqing, who had fallen to this point, could still turn the tables again? Then kill this kid now, without giving him any chance to recover and perform his moves. Crunch. The snake-shaped insect exerted all its strength and was about to strangle Yanqing to death, but it found that it couldn't strangle him no matter what. The ominous premonition became stronger and stronger. It wanted to leave Yanqing, but couldn't move. What's going on? The snake-shaped insect was shocked. The golden bull wristband on Yanqing's wrist flashed with golden light and blessed him. The tenfold strength was increased again and superimposed with the power of the wordlin, exerting a 100-fold strength effect, directly capturing the snake-shaped insect and pressing it firmly, making it unable to move. The mantra of the word Bing was in operation, and the injuries on the body recovered quickly. The sound of beans popping came from the whole body, crackling, which was the bones of the whole body healing. Yanqing had been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. Phoenix Magic Fist. Yanqing pointed out with one finger, and a red line sank into the head of the snake-shaped insect that could not move, making it fall into a state of dementia. In the illusion created by the Phoenix Magic Fist, it faced the greatest fear. Yanqing dragged the snake-shaped insect and moved quickly in the void. He came to Wu Liang and said, "Uncle Wu, please throw this insect in as well." "Well done. You are really promising at a young age, and you will achieve great things in the future." Wu Liang trembled and praised. His breath was very weak, like a candle in the wind, which could go out at any time. The demon god clawed with his big hand and put the snake-shaped insect into the cauldron. The snake-shaped insect, which was only at the level of a third-class insect general, stayed in the cauldron for just a few breaths, and its soul was annihilated by the divine wind. Yanqing couldn't help but take a breath. This demon god's divine form was really terrifying. Boom. After he dealt with the snake-like insects, he noticed that a large wave was erupting from Leng Yi's side. Leng Yi, who had avoided the sickle of the skyworm, instantly had a threefold increase in light around him, and his combat power suddenly increased. Leng Yi actually broke through in the battle. Yanqing wanted to go over to help, but was stopped by Wu Liang. This kind of battle is very suitable for the two of them. Although it is very dangerous, it can stimulate the potential of life and break through the realm. Lan and I also fought our way up in the early years. Wu Liang slowly explained the reason. He recalled the past, and his face became more and more old. Leng Yi and Guzan are both very good, but compared to you, they are still a little worse. You are not from the Ice Palace? Wu Liang asked with a smile. Yes, I'm from the outer domain, from the Centaurus starfield. Yanqing admitted, and told Wu Liang his origins. Swish. No. In the cauldron, Jace let out a final scream. His soul was annihilated, and his body was burned to ashes by the black flames. After witnessing this scene, Wu Liang finally relaxed and breathed a long sigh of relief. He died together with the 5th class insect general. This result was not bad. My friends, I have to tell you some bad news. There is a 5th class insect general from the sky, flying towards here. There are more than 3 million insect soldiers on Lan Geostar. The next battle will be very difficult. Don't die. By the way, I have to say that all these changes are caused by me, so I'm really sorry. At the last moment, Wu Liang, who had turned into an old man, stood up with his hunched body, looking very energetic. He smiled freely, and a gust of wind blew, and his body turned directly into countless dust, flying all over the sky. To be continued, Chapter 147, Facing the Insect Tide. P.S. Thank you for the unlimited rewards, cute and rolling around, to ask for awards and subscriptions. The dust in the sky was blown away by the wind, and the ancient demon god in the tripod slowly dissipated, leaving no trace of existence. Uncle Wu. Yanqing felt a little lost. A quasi-saint of the human race died together with the 5th level insect general. Human. Lord Gulu will not let go. The painful roar of Seiran in the distance came to an abrupt end, and a large piece of blood rain fell from the sky. Leng Yi and Guzan had a hard time dealing with this 6-winged skyworm. Uncle Wu, go well. Leng Yi walked over and said softly, looking up at the sky. He had just broken through his realm and his energy was surging, surrounded by cold air. Originally, Leng Yi had some aversion to Wu Liang and called him by his name, but now seeing Wu Liang kill the insect general and prevent the insect commander from coming, he really admired Wu Liang. In his heart, he really regarded Wu Liang as Lan's comrade in arms and his elder. The battle is not over yet. Yanqing, with a solemn expression, told Leng Yi and Guzan what Wu Liang had said to him. A 5th class insect general from outer space, 3 million insects. Leng Yi and Guzan's expressions changed drastically. Not to mention the millions of insect soldiers, just that 5th class insect general alone, the 3 transcendent realm warriors, once they face each other head on, they will be completely crushed, and no one can survive. Just as the 3 frowned and thought about how to deal with it, the ground suddenly shook. Boom boom boom. A black tide of insects, stretching for hundreds of miles, appeared in front of the 3. It seems that we don't need to consider other things first. Let's deal with the insect tide first, Leng Yi said. Not bad. Guzan nodded in agreement. However, how can we fight against so many insect soldiers? Yanqing was very worried. Yanqing, you know too little about the insect race. You don't have to face the insect tide head on. Leng Yi's eyes passed over the insect tide, locked on a lion-shaped insect in the sky. The Zerg soldiers are all mass-produced by the mother nest. They only have instincts and no thoughts. Only when they reach the level of Zerg generals can they be intelligent. Zerg soldiers unconditionally obey the Zergs of higher levels than them. Therefore, when launching a Zerg tide, there will be a Zerg strongman to command. Once the Zerg commander is killed, the Zerg tide can be easily resolved, just like the 1 million Zerg soldiers below us, scattered and fighting each other, and no longer threatening. Guzan quickly explained the secret of the Zerg tide. At this time, the Zerg tide was getting closer and closer to them, only 300 miles away. We can't escape. The enemy from the sky is coming. If the 5th level Zerg general and the 4 million Zerg soldiers are united, there will really be no hope, Guzan said with a serious expression. The one who leads the Zerg soldiers is the 4-legged 2-winged lion-shaped insect in the air. As long as it is killed, the Zerg sea can be resolved. Leng Yi said coldly. Let's pretend to attack the insect swarm first. When we get close, we suddenly change direction and attack the lion-shaped insects at high speed. Guzan's proposal was recognized by Yanqing and Leng Yi. The 3 of them increased their speed and took the initiative to meet the insect swarm. Humans, you all must die. The lion-shaped insect Manny looked at Shaoyang Mountain angrily. He could feel that Lord Jess, Seren, and the snake-shaped insect were all dead. He looked at the 3 people with fierce eyes. He knew the intentions of these 3 people very well. The reason why it can drive the insect soldiers is because its intelligence is stronger than that of the snake-shaped insects and Seren. On this planet, it has destroyed many forces along the way. Not counting other creatures, it has killed tens of millions of humans alone. Among them, there are also several immortals who have not participated in the trial, and they have all been killed by it. You want to kill me? Manny landed from the air and sank into the insect swarm and was invisible. It actually hid in the sea of insects and saw our movements. This insect is not low in intelligence. This is difficult to deal with. Guzang's figure stopped in the air. Don't worry, I've locked onto its aura. Yanqing's microcosm turned, capturing the lion-shaped bugs things, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Then we'll fight our way out, and it's up to you, Yanqing, Leng Yi said in a deep voice. Okay, I'll lead the way, and the left and right sides are up to you, Yanqing said. He thought to himself that the 2 magical items he made, the ice crystal and the royal magic palace rose, could now be put to use. Leng Yi and Guzan nodded and stood on both sides of Yanqing. At this time, the insect tide also came to their rise. Beam fist. The great sun armor image emerged, and countless golden rays of light passed by, cutting the bodies of thousands of oncoming insects into pieces. Star ice. The cold air tornado blew out 3,000 meters, and pieces of ice crystals froze the insect soldiers on the left. Midnight walls. Guzan played the silver harp, and the sound waves targeting the spirit vibrated, and the red light in the insect's eyes dimmed, like mowing grass, falling one by one, and the lethality was much stronger than Yanqing and Leng Yi's moves. Guzan explained to the surprised Yanqing, these insects below the level of immortal transformation have very weak mental power. It is very easy for us and Le Palace to deal with them. This way, our hope of winning is even greater. Yanqing and the other 2 were like a sharp arrow, tearing through the insect tide and disappearing into dozens of miles in a blink of an eye. However, the number of insects was simply endless, and they surrounded and attacked them. Acid was flying, and the breath filled the space where the three were. Yanqing was not panicked at all, and he formed seals with his hands. Akalanatha. The ancient Sanskrit sounded. Although there was only one word, it had infinite power, and was invulnerable to all kinds of attacks. The transparent defense wall unfolded to form a protective shield, wrapping the three people. The acid breath fell on the defense wall and bounced back. Manny, who was hidden in the insect tide, frowned a little when looking at this situation. This protective shield was really powerful. However, to maintain such a protective shield, the energy consumed must be very amazing. It depends on how long you can hold on. Manny sneered secretly and continued to command the insects to attack. 9 Sun Fist. 3 suns fell, and the group of insects blocking the way were instantly turned into ashes, leaving nothing behind. Mountain Embrace Seal. A towering mountain, like a sky-turning seal, fell with a bang, and the insects within a radius of several miles were smashed into meat paste, and green blood infected the earth. Pegasus Meteor Fist. Phoenix Wings Flying. Aurora Lightning Shock. Yanqing killed furiously. This was a real fight among thousands of troops. Compared with this, the battle outside the City of Light was just like playing house. Frozen with the fingers. Leng Yi played with both hands continuously, and the bone-chilling cold air contained murderous intent. Hundreds of huge icicles rushed out, smashing the swarm of insects, and debris and bones flew everywhere. Clang. Guzan kept playing the harp. His fingers were bleeding, and the music sounded faster and faster. Every time he plucked the strings, a large number of insects fell. Boom. More than 2,000 meteor punches were shot out. Yanqing's fists trembled a little. He was very exhausted. His microcosm could feel that the lion-shaped insect was still dozens of miles away from them, and there was still 1/3 of the distance. It's not far from where it is. I have less than half of my energy left. How are you? Yanqing panted slightly and punched away the insects in front of him. Sweat stains appeared on Leng Yi's forehead. He said, 2/3. I still have half. Guzang's fingers were dripping with blood. He killed the most insects. Almost enough. Next, the insects in front will fall down in large numbers. You two must keep up. Yanqing took out a crystal clear bright red rose from his arms and held it in his hand. Okay. Leng Yi and Guzang, they did not ask Yanqing why he said so. As partners who had experienced life and death battles, they trusted Yanqing very much. Since Yanqing said so, he naturally had his own way. To be continued. Chapter 148. Royal Magic Palace Rose. Millions of insect soldiers surrounded Yanqing and the other two. Even the scattered insect soldiers on Shaoyang Mountain rejoined the battlefield under the command of the lion-shaped insect. The protective shield was rippled. Although it could still bounce back the acid breath, it was gradually unable to hold on. However, at this time, the faces of the three people did not become pale and desperate as the lion-shaped insect thought. Leng Yi, Guzang broke away from the protective shield and launched a move. This can achieve the maximum lethality. They want to relieve the pressure on Yanqing, who is launching something. Humph, I want to see how long you humans can hold on. You must die to stop Lord Gulef from coming and destroy our plan. The lion-shaped insect gave the order for the elite insect soldiers to go out and said fiercely. Teams of insect soldiers were not afraid, stepping on the bodies of their companions and rushing over. Their sickle feet and fangs were shining, and the spikes on their backs condensed yuan energy. This is the insect soldier equivalent to the transcendent realm. Even among the 4 million insect soldiers, there are not many, only a few thousand. The lion-shaped insect wants to kill Yanqing and the others. Swish. Leng Yi's clothes were torn, and the flesh on one arm was turned outward, with blood flowing. This was caused by the sickle of an insect soldier. Leng Yi's eyes condensed. The strength of the insect soldiers surrounding him was not weak, and their attack power was comparable to that of ordinary transcendent realm warriors. Bang! Guzang was also in danger. The Midnight Waltz was activated. Among the dozens of insect soldiers, 2 elite insect soldiers rushed over with mental sound waves when Guzang was not paying attention. Their sharp fangs almost bit off his neck. Yanqing, are you not well yet? Leng Yi asked. He knew that Yanqing must be preparing something. Sorry, it takes a little time to activate it. Yanqing pinched a bright red rose with his fingers. With the injection of his own microcosm, it looked more and more beautiful, and the petals bloomed. It was like it had just been picked. When activating the Royal Magic Palace Rose, the petals of the rose must bloom under the effect of the microcosm, so that the power of the Royal Magic Palace Rose can be truly exerted. What is that? A flower? Could it be a magic weapon? The lion-shaped insect guessed that Leng Yui and Guzan protected Yanqing, and Yanqing's actions caught his attention. No matter what it is, it won't have any effect under the crush of my millions of insect soldiers. The lion-shaped insect sneered. With a wave of the sickle foot, another team of elite insect soldiers rushed over. Boom. Suddenly, a blood-red light shone on Yanqing's hand and gradually expanded. The light of the entire protective shield was also covered by this blood-red color. The surrounding insect soldiers seemed to sense some danger and shrank back and dared not move forward. Go, don't retreat. The lion-shaped insect forcibly gave orders to the elite insect soldiers surrounding Yanqing and the other two, asking them to test the blood-red light. Crash. Hundreds of elite insect soldiers overcame their instinctive fear. The sickle foot swung down at the protective shield, but before it really fell, the red protective shield exploded with a bang, blowing all the insect soldiers away. The whereabouts of the three people were revealed from it. Yanqing formed a seal again, and the Akala was activated, forming a protective shield. It protected Leng Yui and Gu Chang. Don't leave the protective shield. Yanqing solemnly warned the two, and Leng Yui and Gu Chang nodded. They just found that the rose in Yanqing's hand was very scary. This was definitely not an ordinary thing. They had to be treated with caution. Royal Demon Palace Rose. Yanqing raised his hand and threw the rose, which evolved into countless petals, flying all over the sky, beautiful and magnificent. The petals were endless, and the area of dozens of miles was completely covered. Millions of insect soldiers were covered with rose petals. Snap, snap. On the ground, the Demon Palace roses drilled out of the ground, dotted with black and gold spots, and the roots were surrounded by hollow flower thorns about 20 centimeters long. The roses swayed gently in the breeze, and the pollen drifted with the wind. A charming fragrance emanated, and dozens of miles seemed to have turned into a rose garden. The lion-shaped insect was completely stunned by the earth-shaking changes in this area. Just one rose could actually evolve into so many roses. It stepped hard on a magic palace rose on the ground, and the real touch came from its feet. Is this true? Void creation, but it is the means of a saint. The lion-shaped insect said dryly. Yanqing used such a terrible move, which made it very afraid. This move of transforming the world must have subsequent changes. It was nervous, and focused on Yanqing. Once it noticed something wrong, it would leave quickly. However, after 4 or 5 seconds, nothing happened. The insect soldiers were still alive and well. There were only many roses. This made the lion-shaped insect startled and then furious. It turned out that this was a trick. He was actually fooled by this trick. It must be because his energy was exhausted that he used such a trick to delay time. Kill these 3 humans. It ordered the hundreds of meters of elite insect soldiers. At this time, he seemed to have seen the scene of Yanqing and the other 2 being dismembered. However, something unexpected happened. The hundreds of elite insect soldiers actually ignored his orders and stayed where they were. What's going on? These low-level insect soldiers can't possibly resist me. The lion-shaped insect roared. It continued to issue orders, including another group of insect soldiers around Yanqing. However, all the insect soldiers did not move and did not obey it at all. This is impossible. The lion-shaped insect murmured. This was too weird. Kai kai. A faint sound came from the bodies of the insect soldiers around it, and their plump bodies shrank. Bang. A part of the insect soldier's body bulged and slowly grew larger. The spikes and armor bulged, as if something was about to come out from under the insect soldier's skin. The lion-shaped insect looked at this scene in horror, and vaguely had a bad premonition. It stretched out its sickle, and gently touched the insect soldier. Bang. The insect soldier fell straight down, and there was no life in his body. This is dead. The lion-shaped insect was shocked. It thought of the group of insect soldiers again. A chill surged in its heart, chilling it to the bone. So, the reason why he ordered not to move just now was not because the insect soldiers resisted, but because the insect soldiers were all dead. Snap. Several bright red roses broke through the skin and drilled out of the insect's body, with branches stretching out and petals very beautiful. Snap, snap. Soon, many blooming magic palace roses drilled out of the bodies of insect soldiers one after another. The lion-shaped insect couldn't believe that this kind of rose could have such power. In this area, millions of insect soldiers fell to the ground, and their bodies turned into flower mud. Only a few stronger insect soldiers, and it stood alone and survived. Not good. The lion-shaped insect came back to its senses and was shocked. Without the millions of insect soldiers as a barrier, it was now directly exposed to Yanqing and the other two. To be continued. Chapter 149. Enemies from Outer Space. As soon as the lion-shaped insect raised its head, a burning fire phoenix pounced on it, spreading its wings. Flames gushed out, and fierce winds swirled, blocking its retreat, leaving it with no way to avoid it, and only a head-on confrontation. Lightning beam. The lion-shaped insect roared, and a trace of lightning gathered in its mouth. The hot lightning column entangled with the electric light sprayed out, and violently collided with Fengyi Xiangxiang. The two sides were deadlocked. Before the lion-shaped insect could breathe a sigh of relief, suddenly pieces of ice crystals floated down from nowhere, freezing its body. A piece of piano music resounded in its heart, disturbing its spirit. Boom. The phoenix flame strongly suppressed the lightning, and the lion-shaped insect vomited blood and flew across. One of its wings and a small part of its body were burned to a charcoal. Bang. Thousands of meteor-like fists fell on its body, creating hundreds of pits, breaking its spikes, breaking its carapace, and green blood flowed down. The lion-shaped insect wanted to resist, but the existence of the cold ice crystals and the sound of the piano attacking the spirit made it powerless to care about other things and unable to concentrate. Yanqing pressed it down one move after another, and its skin and flesh tore apart, revealing its white bones. Damn human. The lion-shaped insect screamed in frustration. The three people quickly attacked it, and wanted to kill it directly. They didn't give it a chance to recover. Ice ring. Circles of ice crystal rings wrapped around the lion-shaped insect. It twisted its body slightly, and the parts that touched the ice rings were directly frozen and stiffened. ZHE. Yanqing made the inner lion seal, and chanted the Vajrasattva hammer to subdue the demons. The mantra of ZHE can control a person's body. Yanqing used the power of the mantra to freeze the lion-shaped insect. With the binding effect of the ice ring, it was under double insurance. No matter how powerful this insect was, it could only stay where it was. Unable to move. Phoenix Magic Fist. Yanqing used his most powerful move to directly attack the spirit and construct an illusion. Freeze with a snap of fingers. Leng Yi was about to kill the lion-shaped insect, but was stopped by Yanqing. Yanqing, what's wrong? Leng Yi asked puzzledly. Guzan was also puzzled. Why stop it and not kill this insect? Yanqing shook his head and said, it should be killed, but it will take a while. In the mind of this insect, I have constructed a killing illusion. This illusion can make its spirit unconsciously issue a destruction order, and the remaining 3 million insect soldiers will kill each other until they die. Yanqing pointed to a place 10 miles away that was not covered by the magic palace rose and still had insect soldiers, and said, it's like this. Leng Yi and Guzan looked in the direction of Yanqing's hand, only to see groups of insects killing and biting each other, and the number was rapidly decreasing. In a blink of an eye, there were only more than 1 million insect soldiers left from the 3 million insect soldiers. After a few dozen seconds, there were only a few 100,000 insect soldiers left. Hiss. Guzan took a breath of cold air. This efficiency is really too high. This is indeed the best way to deal with this group of insect soldiers. Otherwise, once the quasi-saint comes, the insect soldiers will be taken over again and reactivated. Leng Yi's eyes also shrank slightly. He could actually manipulate the opponent's mind to do various things in the illusion. Such a terrible move. He had never heard of it since he was a child. Yanqing was too mysterious. His path was not martial arts, but his power was similar to that of the gods. The small universe in Yanqing's body slowly turned and restored his energy. After this battle, the 4th level of the transcendent realm had been completed. He only needed to polish the small universe once more to enter the 5th level and become a preparatory immortal. It's a pity that, if there were a few more Royal Demon Palace roses to use, these 4 million insects would have died directly. Now there would be no need to be so troublesome and have to control this insect. Yanqing sighed. Yanqing, I'm really curious about what your master is. There is such a terrible thing. Gu Chang thought of the rose petals all over the sky just now and said with lingering fear. In the area of dozens of miles, nearly a million insect soldiers were killed by a small rose in Yanqing's hand, which completely overturned their cognition. My master, is Xianfu. To be honest, this trick is nothing great. Rose petals can only work on weak creatures. Yanqing said perfunctorily. At this time, he could only use Xianfu to take the blame. In fact, Yanqing was also shocked by the effect of the Royal Magic Palace rose. His understanding of the Royal Magic Palace rose was only that the pollen and fragrance were poisonous, but he didn't expect that it was more deadly to be able to parasitize and absorb the vitality of the parasite as nutrients. Xianfu is indeed a great inheritance. It has produced 3 generations of human emperors and is a holy place for learning. Leng Yi said indifferently. He learned about Yanqing's origin when he was with Yanqing before. Xianfu, no wonder, no wonder. Guzang showed a matter-of-fact expression. Such a place must have many special things and a profound foundation, which is not comparable to their forces, that only have saints. Yanqing was very surprised. He didn't expect Xianfu to be very well known. But Yanqing thought again, this is normal, after all. Xianfu Palace Master Dakingai is a human emperor who stands at the peak of humanity, and the people of Le Palace and Bing Palace will naturally know a little bit. 4 minutes later, there are still more than 100 insect soldiers left alive, but they are already half crippled and seriously injured. Leng Yi casually opened the ice drill field and used the star ice to easily kill the last of these insect soldiers. Yanqing combined the 5-color divine light into a 5-color sword. He slashed down with a sword and cut off the head of the lion-shaped insect. At this point, all 4 million insect soldiers were destroyed, and the crisis was eliminated. Human, don't be happy too early. Master Gilu will avenge us. The head of the lion-shaped insect fell to the ground. His mouth opened and closed, and he died after saying this last sentence. Boom. At the same time as the lion-shaped insect died, a fiery red meteor suddenly appeared in the sky, as if responding to the words of the lion-shaped insect. The meteor was mighty and filled with a terrifying aura, and the target was Shaoyang Mountain. The 5th class insect general is coming. Yanqing's eyes were solemn, Leng Yi's body was tense, and Guzan clenched the silver harp in his hand. The 3 retreated dozens of miles away, ready to give the terrifying opponent a thundering blow at any time. The fiery red meteor fell on Shaoyang Mountain, and the earth shook instantly. The tremor could be felt for thousands of miles. Qin Ziyang, who was far away at the garrison, looked at the shaking mountain wall with a worried look on his face. Are Yanqing and the others okay? Phoenix wings flying in the sky. Finger flick freeze. Ice drill field. Silver music. The 3 of them used powerful moves at the same time, making sure to give it a heavy blow before the 5th class insect general reacted, causing it to be injured. The light was overwhelming, instantly submerging the high place of Shaoyang Mountain, where the meteor fell. To be continued. Chapter 150. An invincible enemy. PS. These 3 days are really tiring. I have been coding from night to morning, and went to bed at 4 or 5 in the morning. I have not been in a good mood and things have not been going well. So I'm going to take a rest today, and go to bed early. I will update more tomorrow. The recent chapters are a big turning point, and need to be carefully considered. I owe a few chapters. 12 is very clear, and will definitely make up for it. Yanqing and the other 2 kept their moves. The light was shining, and the energy fluctuations like the ocean rushed up, and a huge mushroom cloud rose on Shaoyang Mountain. Boom. The towering mountain was directly flattened, countless rocks exploded and shattered, and a dark space black hole appeared where the fiery red meteor fell, and everything was annihilated. Although such a great damage was caused, Yanqing and the other 2 still looked grim, and did not dare to relax at all. The 5th level insect general is equal to the quasi-saint combat power. Between his gestures, the vast power is permeated. It is absolutely impossible for him to die easily under their attack. Boom. There was a loud noise, like the roar of thunder. Quickly retreat. Yanqing's face changed greatly, and his sixth sense universe suddenly turned wildly. This time, the warning in Yanqing's heart was stronger than ever before. He felt a great terror, and the aura of death rushed towards him. Human, your perception ability is good. A low voice sounded from the center of the mushroom cloud, accompanied by a creaking sound, which made people's scalps numb and their hairs stand on end. Sizzle. The sky seemed to be about to explode. The mushroom cloud retreated, and there were thousands of lightning across the sky. A silver two-legged dragon slowly took shape, thousands of meters high, covering the sky and the sun. This is a Zerg King Group two-legged dragon. Guzang's voice trembled. The level of the two-legged dragon is very high in the Zerg, compared with the Skyworm. At the same level, the combat power is 3 times higher, or even more. How can such a 5th level insect general be defeated? Even though Guzang, as the heir of the Le Palace, has a good psychological quality, he also has a feeling of despair at this time. Leng Yi's face was even colder than usual. Although he had no expression, the cold air surging around him showed his restlessness. Fei Long's eyes were golden. His pupils were vertical, with the pressure of a king. A pair of flesh wings spanned 2 mountains, stretched out, and flapped gently. Boom. The fierce wind surged without warning, and thousands of tornadoes formed, sucking everything on the ground into the sky. At the same time, lightning struck, like a golden snake dancing wildly. The raging phoenix flames were extinguished directly, the dazzling ice crystals were crushed into powder, and the sound of the piano was completely suppressed by the wind. Pieces of sound blades also shattered and disappeared. Yanqing and the other 2 struggled to stabilize their bodies in the strong wind. This suction force was too strong. Among the countless lightning bolts, a chain-shaped lightning pierced through the void, and fell in front of the 3 of them. It drew a deep gully that was dozens of miles long. Leng Yi reacted quickly. He avoided it in time, but one corner of his clothes was slightly brushed by the lightning. It was annihilated in an instant. Unable to fight. These 4 words of weakness emerged in Yanqing's mind. The flying dragon divine form only flapped its wings, and the moves they had tried their best to perform became invisible. The power of the quasi-saint was far beyond their imagination. Under the flying dragon divine form, a man walked out from the place where the fiery red meteor landed. Every step he took echoed with the heaven and earth, and the storm and lightning were automatically avoided. The footsteps resounded in the hearts of Yanqing and the other 2. Boom. 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 One after another, it was like a heavy hammer hitting a person's spirit and soul. Puff. Guzang spit out a large mouthful of blood. His body bent like a shrimp, twitching constantly, and his expression was extremely painful. Guzang, are you okay? Yanqing was shocked. What happened to Guzang? These footsteps are specifically aimed at music practitioners like me. You have to be careful. The enemy is very scary. Guzang's voice was intermittent, and he kept spitting blood. His expression became more painful as the footsteps became louder and louder. Boom. The man's feet stomped down heavily, and the sound of his footsteps roared between heaven and earth. Guzang's spirit collapsed instantly, blood splattered, and he fell into a state of coma and bleeding. Guzang. Leng Yi clenched his fists, and looked into the man's eyes, with a chill in his eyes. He is a music practitioner and a member of the music palace. Unfortunately, his attainments in music are not as good as those of an amateur Zerg man like me. The man walked closer. His voice was very deep, and what he said was even more ordinary. If it weren't for Guzang lying on the ground, already seriously injured, his words would sound like chatting with a friend. Star Ice. Leng Yi took the lead. He wanted to find out the details of this man. The rotating ice crystals were as beautiful as stars, and the temperature around them dropped below -200 degrees. The air became solid and cold air sprayed. Freeze with a snap of fingers. Thick icicles hit the man who was standing still. Snap. The man stretched out his hand and snapped his fingers. A force of law surrounded him, and the ice crystals and icicles seemed to be stopped by time and stood still. Go back. The man said slowly. His words were full of an irresistible will. Swish. The ice crystals and icicles bounced back at 10 times the original speed, accompanied by the sound of whistling wind. Bang. The speed was too fast. Leng Yi had no time to dodge. He felt the power of his own moves. A large dent in his chest. Dozens of bones were broken and shattered, and his body flew out. Ahem. Leng Yi's mouth was bleeding, and he wanted to get up again, but his injuries were too severe. He stood up halfway, and fell down unwillingly. Powerful, too strong. Yanqing turned this thought in his mind. With just one move, Leng Yi, like Gu Chang, completely lost the ability to fight, and he was left alone. How can he win? The feeling of powerlessness lingered in his heart, and he fell into deep confusion. He had experienced many battles, but he had never experienced a battle like this one with such a huge difference in strength. It was very likely that he would die this time. Although this ice palace cold air is weak, it is still as annoying as ever. The man said lightly, taking a few steps, shrinking the ground into an inch, and came in front of Yanqing. He looked down at Yanqing from the perspective of a giant dragon, as if he was looking at an ant. Among the three humans, you should be the most powerful guy. Come, attack me and let me see how strong you are, the man said. Phoenix wings flying. Yanqing gritted his teeth, and formed a seal. The mantra of the word crossing was running, increasing the power of the 5 element. The power of the mantras of the 2 words Lin and Dao was also stimulated, and 10 times the energy and strength were added. Boom. The small universe exploded. Yanqing's combat power was raised to the extreme. After burning the small universe, his cultivation was temporarily raised, breaking into the 5th level of the transcendent realm, and it was still rising, until it reached the limit of the transcendent realm, and then stopped, infinitely close to the immortal realm. The fire phoenix flew with lust, and the great sun Dharma image also emerged at this moment, increasing the power of the flames. Yanqing's combat power suddenly sublimated, and he felt as if he had broken into an unpredictable realm. The man who witnessed this scene made a surprised sound, and his expression changed for the first time. To be continued. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.